Buenos dias, Twitch chat room. Happy Friday.
Guy next to me at the bar ordered a burger well done with no bun and a side salad. Like, bro, just go to hell. No detours. Straight there.
Morning.
Morning. Where'd you go for a little jog around the neighborhood?
A walk. I watched a movie last night in the movie theaters.
Whoa.
You ever seen the trailers for this new movie called Nope
Yes.
by Jordan Peele? So damn good.
Was it funny?
It was thrilling. It was a thriller.
Oh.
But it was funny as well. Keke Palmer's in it. She's great. But yeah, really good movie. I recommend it. This is his third movie, I think, now. He's 3 for 3. Jordan Peele. Live from Lambeau Field. FC Bayern versus Man City.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy Friday. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? Making it through a week together. Thanks for doing it with us here on the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. How are you on this fine Friday?
Whew, I've already been up for a while. Had to ship the wife and daughter out this morning. They had an early flight. We were up early this morning.
Had to ship them out? Are they cargo? What?
You know, it might have saved a few bucks if I could have shipped them out cargo. Now that you say it, it's a little late, but it's a hell of an idea, David.
Come on now. The service on the flights aren't that bad. I mean, you know, they'll be treated a little bit better, right?
No, the cost of the flights that has nothing to do with the service of the flights. The service of the flights is just fine when you can leave and get the plane up in the air, as long as they've got enough people to fly said plane. I'm not worried about the service. It's just, if you have purchased an airline ticket recently, you are aware just how much fun that experience is these days. It's why they left this morning and I'm still here.
So apparently the airlines are going to be hiring 15,000 pilots a year for 10 years to get caught up with, and also, you know, people aging out, retiring, and this, that, and the other thing. But to get back to, you know, like full service and where they want to go and all that sort of deal. Apparently, so if you think about that, it's 14 to 15,000 a year. So let's just say, you know, 14.4. That'd be $1,200 a month for 12 months. And they need to do that apparently either through the rest of the decade or for 10 years. I mean, that's 40 pilots a day.
Seems like a lot of pilots.
Yeah, for 8 to 10 years. So
especially when not many of us know a pilot, right, let alone 40 of them.
So if, you know, you have a young lad or a young lady in your life and they're debating, you know, what is it that I want to do when I grow up? They're in school.
Should I get a journalism degree or should I maybe be a pilot?
Right, Felipe. I mean, you know, there's still time. I mean, probably take a couple years of training and what have you. You know, maybe this little thing will help pay for it. But if you know, down the road, if you realize, Miller and Moulton, they were right. There's not a lot of money in this. I mean, it's fun, kind of.
I mean, I know I'm capable of both, you know, especially.
Well, remember,
you know you're capable of both.
Capable of both. Yeah.
Right. Because, you know, I mean, this goes back, you can land the plane, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Right. So just say they're hiring. Is just
so
to let you know.
I'm guessing you could just walk in there and get the job the same way you got this one and say, I'm capable.
Find the tape, okay, from a few months ago and just walk in and go, listen, here's the deal, and play it for them. Okay. I can land this sucker. All right. Just listen to the confidence I have. I can land this sucker. So put me in the simulator and let's move this thing along. I need to start making money. So I don't know why I thought about that, but I saw it on the news a few days ago. You know, I don't watch a lot of news anymore.
I know.
That's why my morale is so much better than it used to be.
Even with all these days with any sporting events, David and I have been able to maintain a high level of morale because of the lack of news that we watch.
Right. Keep it to less than an hour in your life. If you pay attention to the news for less than an hour, all right, your morale will go up, and you'll notice it quickly. It's kind of like when you start a shape up and the first week or two are pretty hard, and by week 3 you go, and
always have trouble making it to week 3.
Exactly. That's the key. Can you get to week 3? It's the same with, if you can just listen to, you know, a little less of the partisan and watch a little less of the partisan, and by a little less than an hour. So basically pick a show, whether it's a newscast, whether it's you know, you got a guy or a gal that you watch, and that's it though. That's it.
Get your headlines and move on.
Right. So if they don't tell you about it, you know, you may not know about it. And you know what? That's okay. It really is. It'll be there when you eventually find it. So Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Wearing my Florida Sports Network shirt today.
Looking good, David.
Being a team player today. So
looking good.
That's not an everyday thing, as you well know, Mark. I have struggled with that. So turns out Barkley and Norman had dinner Wednesday night in Atlanta. And it really sounds like Chuck wants to do this.
It does, but he wants to keep his TNT gig too.
He would prefer.
And he'd like to keep all his endorsement deals. I mean, because at the end of the day, Chuck makes good money.
Subway, Capital One, Dick's Sporting Goods are the 3 little side things he's got going right now.
And as he said, they were already all over him and upset. And he's like, can I just meet with the guy before you fire me, for crying out loud? I haven't done anything yet.
Yeah, don't yell at me. But, you know, Barkley said some stuff, and I'm a little surprised. And I don't want to mix sports and politics, but if we've seen anything in the last 5 or so years, you're much better off doubling down than you are retreating lately. Even if you're wrong, you're seemingly much better off just saying, no, this is who I am. This is what I believe. No. don't give me a hard time about this. And that's what Barkley said in an interview with Andrew Marchand in the New York Post late yesterday afternoon. And you may have seen or heard tidbits about it in which he said, hey, don't get on me about this whole sports washing thing. He goes, I'm a Nike guy. He goes, do we want to start, talking about that? He goes, I'm an NBA guy. China? He said, let's be brutally honest. If you're involved in sports and you're making a decent amount of money, all of our money has come from a bad place. He just said it. He goes, do we really want to tear it all down? And he goes, if you do, fine. He goes, but I'm telling you, a lot of our money is coming from places where you don't want to know where it's coming from and how it's come to be. He goes, so I basically don't want to hear it. He goes, you want to feel the way you want to feel about me? Fine. He goes, but said, I'm a proud Nike guy. I'm a proud NBA guy. They both have problems. And are their problems that much less or more than the LIV tour? You decide. And you and I have felt for a while that, Pat Perez is seemingly the only guy who's joined the LIV tour who's been able to look people in the eye and tell them exactly why they're doing it and be okay with it. Everybody else is sheepish about it.
They've been getting a little better. Bryson's gotten a little better, but a few of them have gotten a little better with saying, yeah, it's
largely the money.
Largely the money. It's life-changing money. It's generational money.
Yeah. And not only that, I don't like some of the things about the PGA Tour. We've had Mark Lai on a couple of times. He says, hey, I've been a proud member of the PGA Tour for 45 years. It doesn't mean I'm always happy with them. That there is a little draconian part to them. And that in theory, they're supposed to be working for us, and it feels as if we're working for them. But we know why these guys are doing it. They can play less golf and make more money.
Who wouldn't sign up for that?
And yeah, the money's coming from a bad place. Absolutely. And what Barkley's saying is, there's a lot of money coming from bad places. Maybe not as bad as this place. But he's like, listen, if we're going to start going down this road, he said, we're going to start boarding up a lot of places. Which is interesting. And the thought in the industry is, Mark, Barkley's about as close to untouchable as there is, right? He can say and do whatever he wants, and people will laugh it off or give him a pass, right?
Largely.
Well, don't you think this is going to put it to a test?
This will put it to the ultimate test if he indeed leaves, because it pretty much came out in the article that he wants to do both. He wants to keep all his endorsements. He wants his cake. He wants to eat it too. He wants to keep the endorsements, wants to keep the NBA and TNT deal, and he'd like to do the Live Series golf.
I'm guessing he'd be okay losing the endorsements if he could keep the Turner gig.
I agree.
Because in theory, he'd make enough from LIV to make up for the endorsements. Now, maybe he wouldn't. Maybe he'd actually be leaving some money on the table. But Barkley announced, I'm going to play in the Pro-Am next week in Jersey. I'm going to play in the LIV Pro-Am. And the tournament's Friday through Sunday. I'm assuming the Pro-Am's Thursday. Could be Wednesday, but whatever. So we'll see. No comment from Turner. If you were Turner, would you have a problem with it?
I don't know how Turner could. They're in bed with the NBA, who's in bed with China. I mean,
they could just say, hey, there's a big difference between China and Saudi Arabia.
Really?
I'm saying they could say that.
Be a hell of a statement to say. I wouldn't want to pin my hat on that statement, David. I really would not.
Okay. Fair enough. But, I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
I understand that what you're playing.
Right. That, hey, come on now. They're in their own area code. We may be in the next one, but, they're in their own area code.
And I could,
right.
If I was more prepared for that question, I would have a litany of things other than you really allow more than one child per family? Yeah, okay.
Right.
I mean,
oh yeah, no.
I mean,
there's a lot.
we could play tit for tat here all day long.
Oh no, they got a lot on their resume. No, they do. Absolutely, they do. Yep. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if we're presenting evidence before a jury, this trial is going to take a while.
There's no doubt.
I understand. But you make a dadgum good point, as Coach Bowden would say, that, of all the networks and of all the leagues. So are they going to draw the line here, though? And let's be honest. I mean, Barkley is the star of their showcase show.
I think we'll find out a lot on Turner because you and I both think they're the leader in the clubhouse to be airing the Live Tour.
It's them or Fox. Everybody else has an arrangement with the PGA Tour, so they can't air it. So you figure it's Turner or Fox or a streaming service.
But you got to figure the deal's done if Faraday's already made the move and they're talking to Barkley, or at least it's in the 11th hour.
Even Barkley said, I think they're going to have a deal. He goes, I don't think I'd be doing this if I didn't think they're going to have a deal. Miller and Moulton. So, just dinner in Atlanta. We'll see what comes from it. Thanks for listening, the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So that's 7. He gets up and down for 9. And then WDs. Derek Lamley's in it.
Wow.
Yeah, he's even. And that Rick Lamb's also even.
Oh, the kid that won the...
What do we call it now?
Yingling.
Is it the Yingling still?
Do Do you own a Papa John's pizza, and is that why it's your name? Either way, I'm impressed with the fact that you have Papa John's Pizza as your Twitch name, just for the record. Doesn't make me hungry at all. All right, fair enough. I like it. I like the name. There was a gubernatorial debate last night?
Was it the two
Freed and Christ, yeah. Wow.
I don't think it was shown in this market, was it? I don't think it was.
Oh, I forgot to do something.
What's that?
Send the tweet out.
Ten seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Josh Rosen. That's the answer.
What's the question?
There are so many in which the answer in Cleveland is Josh Rosen, but that's the answer. Apparently the guy, the strategic backup to their current backup, who may end up being their starter. That's the answer. They worked out Josh Rosen and A.J. McCarron. They chose Josh Rosen.
Former 10th overall pick.
In the same draft that Baker went number 1, right?
Yep.
I mean, this is rich.
It is.
Isn't it? And the reason
the quarterback shuffle game.
And the reason he's in Cleveland is because, well, they chose to get rid of the guy who went 1 in that draft and replace him with Deshaun Watson, but he's now going to be suspended in all likelihood. And so, well, they need to, yeah. Mm-hmm. It does go to show you that, is this now going to be the new draft in which we talk about just how much of a flip of the coin it is?
No doubt.
5 quarterbacks in the first round from 1 to 32. And the 2 that are stars went 7 and 32.
That's it.
And the ones that went 1, 3, and 10. Wah, 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 wah.
Appears to be the case.
Although I think the guy who went 1 still has a chance to have a career.
I agree with that.
I think he got a bad deal, so to speak.
But we'll see. After you get that bad deal, sometimes it's hard to recover from that.
Yeah, well, there's only 32 jobs. That's the problem. It's not that you can't play. It's just that there may not be a place for you to play. I mean, why it is that guys come back and take head coaching jobs, because there's not a lot of them.
So yesterday, David, we had a poll question on the show about the Georgia-Florida game.
Right.
And I think you will be very happy because on campus ended up winning. It was whether the game should be played in Jacksonville or moved on campus.
Wow.
On campus ended up winning in a really close vote, 53 to 47%.
Huh.
But it really ruffles feathers when you bring this up.
Yeah.
I simply said it's the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Why would I want to end that? If you've listened to me over the years, a little tongue-in-cheek there, but come on, I like a party as much as anybody.
And we still think it should be referred to as
the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. But, some people saying they'd like to see a Jacksonville-Atlanta neutral site each way, so Georgia has a quote-unquote neutral site home game. I thought that was an interesting idea.
And believe it or not, in mileage, Atlanta's a lot closer to Athens than Jacksonville is to Gainesville. But in terms of driving it, it's maybe 20 minutes difference.
But I had to laugh because I got not one of the meanest, but one of the more, just how stupid are you tweets at me.
Jane, you ignorant slut.
Because I picked Jacksonville.
Okay.
You are so delusional on this topic.
Wow.
The fact that this game is played in Jacksonville is a joke and just a money grab, which we talk about every time we bring it up.
Yeah, no kidding.
Much rather have 70,000 hardcore fans in the swamp or that crap hole in Georgia than the darkness that takes place in Jacksonville.
Got to admit, he's obviously never been to Sanford Stadium because it's not a crap hole.
No, it's not.
I mean,
it's gorgeous.
Yeah, and it's it's kind of down and not at the bottom of the hill, but close. And then at the same time, one side of the stadium, you feel like you're at the bottom of the hill, and you have to go around the stadium and go back up part of the hill to get in on the other side. I mean, it's nestled in really pretty, really pretty. And it's a special of the college football places. It would make your top 15, and it'd probably make your top 10. It's really nice.
Really need to get to Tennessee because I've not been to all of the SEC stadiums, and I've still not been to Alabama, but I really need to get to Tennessee. That's the one that's my bucket list SEC place.
Go, if you can, go for the Alabama game because it's late October and you got the foliage. All right, certain Tennessee River there, and you see the people pulling up in their boats to go to the game. It's pretty cool.
So I'm just waiting for you guys to have a game in Tennessee again. That's kind of my hope.
Right.
Because I've got the place to stay already. I got a good friend who lives there. That's easy. I mean, that's easy.
That's fantastic.
So I'm just kind of waiting for that CBS train to roll in there.
Could be this year, early in the season.
Well,
the Gators show up.
And Tennessee's supposed to have a little something this year.
Yeah, maybe. So
but I had to laugh. I got the biggest kick when I read that yesterday. You are so delusional. Me and all the Florida coaching staff, the Florida athletic director.
Although actually, first time, maybe crack. Billy Napier, SEC Media Days.
Right. He said, I want to see it. I've never seen it. I want to play in it once, but
then he said, I agree with Kirby from the recruiting standpoint. He goes, you don't understand how important a recruiting weekend is. He goes, and particularly it is a big game. I mean, he did agree completely with Kirby about the recruiting part. So, new guy, new regime.
But remember, he's got to knock on a lot of doors to get to the president's office. They don't even know his name down there yet.
Put it this way. I don't think they ask him for a vote, and it certainly doesn't count until he beats Georgia once, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, he's got to beat Kirby to be able to weigh in on this, doesn't he? And they're not going to be favored in this game for a little while.
And I do have to laugh because yesterday we had a bunch of people in the Twitch chat room already calling Kirby going to the NFL or Kirby going. And we were taken aback by it. David and I were both like, what in the hell are these folks talking about? And at the end of the show, not only did we point out Kirby's age, and I think we said it on air. I know we talked about it because our show continued till about 10:10 yesterday. And I know we talked about Kirby having a longer tenure at Georgia than we think. We think Kirby will have a longer tenure at Georgia than Nick will have at Alabama by the time it's all said and done.
Nick's got a 10-year head start on Kirby. But Kirby's 46 right now, and Nick's 70. So how much longer do you think Nick's going to go? Nick's put in, 07 was his first year at Alabama. So Nick's done 15 years, and Kirby's done 6 at Georgia. And so if you think Nick's going to do 5, 7, 8 more years, well, then he'll do between 20 and 23 years at Alabama. So let's just go max. Okay, Nick does 23 years at Alabama. All right, Kirby's already done 6.
Yeah,
he's 46.
And I think I finished the show by saying I think Nick will be there forever. Kirby will be there forever.
Well, add 17 years to it. You get to 23. Kirby's 63.
And then yesterday, a couple hours after our show,
right,
Kirby got paid.
Yes.
What?
Yes. Technically, I think it makes him, at the moment, number 1. The AAV, if you will, because he's going to get like $100,000 or $200,000 raise every year for the 10 years. Because, starting out at like 10.5, that's, come on, you need a raise. So, but it averages out to like 11.2. And I think at the moment it makes him the highest paid coach.
And it should.
Right. Which means Nick will have a new deal next week. Because I think Nick has it in his contract. He has to be the highest paid coach. So he'll probably have to redo it. As well he should, I will say. You could hate Nick Saban, but come on now.
He deserves to be the highest paid guy, and Kirby got them a natty.
Yeah.
That's all they ever wanted in Athens.
Correct. They hired him.
Dooley and Herschel got them their natty, all they've wanted was another. It's all they've wanted.
Right. Jimmy Carter was president, when they got him their natty. Jimmy Carter. So, he delivered. He got paid. I will say the timing was a little awkward for Kirby. I think just the day before at SEC Media Days, he had said he wasn't a fan of players getting $10,000 a year in NIL. Obviously, he's a fan of making 11.25 a year as coach.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Felipe, did you see the Clippers' new arena yesterday?
No.
They released some, Ballmer just trying to get some press, released some of the work they're doing on the arena. Apparently.
Oh, it's got the Halo screen.
Well, I mean, that's what they have at SoFi also. So
Right.
that's just bringing it indoors.
Right.
But apparently, along the one baseline, I don't know if they're going to do it on the other side too, but apparently he's going to do it. It's 51 consecutive rows, and it's angled pretty sharply straight up. And they're trying to create like a wall of sound. They're trying to have their arena be like the loudest in the league, the way that they're building it.
Interesting.
It looked very much like a college arena. You remember Valvano's old arena?
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, I'm not a very creative person, artistically and what have you. I'm not good at looking at something and, envisioning what it is it's going to look like. But even to me, I'm like, ooh, wow, that could be cool. Because, most NBA arenas are all the same, pretty much the way and it almost looks as if they're trying to create a little bit of a college type foundation.
Correct me if I'm wrong. It's funny because DC also asked in the Twitch chat what I'm about to ask. Are they going to tear down the Forum and build it there, or are they just going to remodel the Forum?
No, they're building their own. You've got it's in about a 6-block area. You got the Forum a couple blocks away. You got SoFi.
Right.
And then kind of at like 4 o'clock from SoFi is where they're building their thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is the Clippers?
Yeah.
All right. Stealing a little bit from Bianchi, I would change it a little bit. Today's National Mango Day. We could have what's your favorite fruit?
What are you recommending would be the
banana, apple, orange, grape.
Okay.
That's the first 4 I came up with.
Very generic, but I like it.
Well, I'm going with the popular
big
guys.
4. Yeah, big 4. Right. Right.
In the old big 4 of fruits. There's so many different things you can't say anymore that were really funny a while ago.
Right.
Because I just saw a thing, it's today.
Little Richard.
Today in history, Little Richard. If God can save a little homosexual like me, he can save you or something along those lines.
Did you ever see Mars, religiosity?
No, I need to watch it.
He's sitting down with a pastor who they have a program together in which they can flip you from homo to heterosexual. Okay, and so Mar throws in a couple underhanded questions, and the guy says something to, something along the lines of, "I don't believe you're born gay." And before he can utter another syllable, Mar says, "Have you ever met Little Richard?" It was a laugh out loud, just blurts out of you moment.
Well, that was the one thing that he said that I think Mar's line on his show. He said, a lot of people have seen my movie Religiously and have come up to me and said, that movie has helped me kind of come to terms, and agnostic or whatever. He goes, still yet to have a Republican come up to me and say they've turned into a Democrat.
No, and what's interesting, DC, is that, I asked last year, I mean, the Forum's still hosting
concerts.
Yeah, I mean
Pearl Jam just played the Forum.
Yeah, it just goes to show you how, LA's got so many people and they need places to hold shit.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Top of the morning to you. Happy Friday. Hope your week's gone well. We thank you for spending, part of it with us. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Magic numbers, by the way. I was neglectful not throwing this out there early. Bad job by me. 36, 41, 48. 5 weeks tomorrow, week 0. Nebraska Northwestern in Dublin, Vandy at Hawaii. 6 weeks yesterday, week 1. Pitt, West Virginia, the 5-day extravaganza, September 1st through the 5th, right on through Labor Day Monday. 7 weeks yesterday, Bills, Rams at SoFi, 36, 41, 48. 13, if you just want to see helmets and shoulder pads in a game, that's the Hall of Fame game, Raiders and Jags. So there you go. Those are your numbers.
Love it. Love it. All now palatable numbers, all numbers that you can kind of, nothing out there too big to make it scary.
Of course, my number's 11. Major League Baseball trading deadline. That's the big number in my life. August 2nd, 11.
And it should be with some of the players that are out there and the fact that you have a first-place team who is trying to hold on to being a first-place team.
Right, which may have some significance. Difference between being
huge,
a 2 first-round bye and also potentially avoiding either the Dodgers and the Braves in the first round. Or if you're in the 4-5 game, think about how tough your road's going to be in the National League right now. You'll play that short series against the Padres, and then you'll likely have to play the Dodgers. And then if you get through all that, the Braves will likely be standing there. I mean, there's a big difference. Who wins the East between the Mets and the Braves? And Phillies fans, sorry, just get in. Listen, you got Nola and Wheeler. I mean, you get in, you can get out of the first round. You can swing it a little bit. So. Are we ready?
I'm ready. You ready?
All right, let's do this.
The starting 5. 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, I'm going to start with baseball.
You better.
Well, I don't know. There's a quarterback who signed for a lot of money yesterday.
I got you, but
so
the best team in baseball lost a double dip yesterday.
They did. 3-2 and 7-5 in Houston to the Astros, who win the season series from the Yankees 5-2, and now just trail the Yankees by 2.5 for best overall record in the American League. That whole 1 seed home field advantage sort of thing. Astros win game 1 in a walk-off infield single. Jumped out to a 5-0 lead, 7-2 in the 9th. Judge did hit a 3-run homer in the 9th. That's homer number 34.
Man.
34 on July 21st for Aaron Judge. Boys, Yankees lead cut to 12. Astros lead up to 10 over Seattle. How about that? You're the Mariners. You won 14 in a row. You're 10 back. Tigers and A's swept the double dip. Detroit won the first 7-2. Oakland won the nightcap 5-0. But here's really the important factor. I threw out there 10,000 as the over-under in Oakland for a doubleheader. 10,000. You both went under.
Yes.
You were both correct.
Not by much, though.
No, actually, in Oakland, you won, 72-82.
Okay.
Okay, it's the next over-under that was close. So 72-82 in Oakland for a doubleheader. Meanwhile, in Miami, 1 o'clock, they hosted the Rangers in a makeup game. Texas won 8-0. Marlins have lost 4 in a row. During that 4-game losing streak, they've been outscored 24-1. 24-1. Obviously, during those 4 games, they've played 36 innings. Mark, when was the last time the Marlins scored?
Before the All-Star break. They had 1 run in the first game?
Yes.
Against the Phillies? They
Early.
They lost 2-1
right
against the Phillies.
So 10-0, 4-0, 8-0.
34 innings now, right?
There you go.
Yeah.
34 scoreless innings for the Marlins hitters.
That's unbelievable.
Yeah, it really is.
Like you said before the show, as hard as they swing, someone doesn't jack one?
So just one person swinging for the fences, which is all they do nowadays. Nobody could connect. So, but here was the big deal. You know, we wondered a 1 o'clock makeup game that lost 3 in a row, but it's beautiful Thursday. How many people would show up? Over under 10,000. You both went under. You were both correct. 95-24.
They counted tickets from the.
I think they did.
They had to.
There's no way there were 9,500 people at
No.
that game. Dodgers beat the Giants 9-6. A good game. Dodgers led 5-0. Giants came back, took a 6-5 lead in the 8th. Only for the Dodgers to score 4 in the bottom of the 8th. Mookie Betts, when the game was tied, hit a 3-run homer to win it. Dodgers lead in the West is 10.5. Giants now a game back of both the Cardinals and Phillies for the final wild card spot. Another baseball news, Jacob deGrom threw 60 pitches in a simulated game and apparently felt fine. Don't be surprised if he returns early next week. I think, Mark, early next week, the Mets play the Yankees. So deGrom's triumphant return, so to speak, after 55 weeks inactive could be against the Yankees. That will get no media attention in New York.
None at all.
None whatsoever. What should get a lot of media attention, Bo Jackson ended up paying for the funerals of the 19 school children and 2 teachers who were slaughtered in Uvalde, Texas. Apparently, Bo has a friend who lives nearby, and he always, for 20 plus years now, has driven through Uvalde on the way to see his friend, and they go hunting together. And so when he heard about it, it struck a chord with him. Bo reached into his pocket for nearly $200,000 and did, as he said, what I could to try to ease some suffering. Hats off to Bo Jackson, to say the least. One other baseball note, and I know you can include Bo in football, but I just wanted to work it in there. At the All-Star break, we pay attention to attendance and ratings in terms of what life is like now compared to what it was like before the pandemic. So most people don't count 2020, 2021. It's when you're comparing ratings and attendance, you're always trying to see, well, how are we doing in 2019? Turns out Major League Baseball attendance mark is down 5% from where it was at the All-Star break in 2019. They're averaging 26,409 people a game. Think about how below average the 2 baseball franchises are in the state of Florida.
I was just thinking, as you said that, you take Oakland, you take Tampa, you take Miami.
In fact, could you add up Marlins and Rays attendance, average attendance, and get to 26,409? My guess is you would, but close.
I don't think you would. I think you'd be just under.
And that would be both teams averaging 13,200 per game. So
Miami right now is averaging 11,590.
Okay.
Tampa's averaging 13,801.
All right.
So they're a little over
25
and change.
Felipe, you're right. So the Rays and Marlins combined are averaging 1,000 less fans per game than the average baseball attendance. Curious, by the way, what's the franchise closest to 26.4? Like, who's
Texas?
So the Texas Rangers.
They're 16th at 25,006 fans a game. Philadelphia's 15th at almost 29,000 a game.
Okay. So the Texas Rangers right now is your average Major League Baseball game.
Yes.
All right. NFL news. Arizona Cardinals and Kyler Murray agree to a 5-year extension. Remember, he still has 2 years left on his rookie deal because they picked up his 5th-year option. So he's got this year and next year, and then he's got a 5-year extension that kicks in. The 5-year extension for $230.5 million. The half is key. Why? That makes his average salary $46.1 million per year. What does that do?
That's 0.1 higher than Deshaun Watson now, isn't it?
And the only quarterback then making more money than Kyler Murray right now is Aaron Rodgers. But remember, Murray doesn't start making this for another 2 years. And out of the $230.5 million, 160 of it's guaranteed. So basically, the next 2 years are his rookie deal, and then for the most part, the first 3 years of that 5-year extension are guaranteed, and then Arizona can probably get out of it. So in theory, you got Kyler Murray for 5 more years. Would you have made this investment if you were Arizona?
Yes. They're convinced he's the guy. If the rest of you aren't, it doesn't matter. They're fully convinced, coach, quarterback, they want to keep this symmetry. Yes.
Yeah, I mean, they remember a year after they drafted Josh Rosen, they took him number 1, fired their coach, hired Kingsbury to specifically coach him. So, yes.
If you're all in, you got to stay all in, David.
I agree with that. I mean, if you're Steve Keim, you've put your career in Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury's hands. So, yeah. So they put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Mentioned it earlier, Browns ended up signing Josh Rosen as the backup to Jacoby Brissett, who's the backup to Deshaun Watson. They chose Josh Rosen over A.J. McCarron. Worked them both out, chose Rosen. Former Chiefs linebacker Jim Lynch passed away yesterday at the age of 76. Lynch was part of a legendary linebacking core with the Chiefs that went to 2 Super Bowls and won 1. Jim Lynch was with Willie Lanier and Bobby Bell. Lanier and Bell both in the Hall of Fame. Lynch is in the College Football Hall of Fame. He was co-captain of the 1966 Notre Dame team that won a share of the national championship. Jim Lynch, 76 years old. Golf, Charles Barkley had dinner Wednesday night with Greg Norman. He sounds like a man who really wants to broadcast LIV golf. He realizes he may lose his sponsors, Subway, Capital One, and Dick's Sporting Goods, and he doesn't know if he may lose his Turner job. He said, next week I'll play in the LIV Pro-Am in Jersey, and we'll see what happens. 3M Open in Minneapolis, Scott Piercy and Sung Jae In, your co-leaders at 6 under. Tony Finau is in a group of 5, 2 shots back at 4 under, tied for 3rd. You mentioned Kyler Murray got paid. Kirby Smart got paid.
Yes, he did. Whew.
A day after saying he wasn't fond of players getting $10,000 a year in NIL money, Kirby said, but I am fond of signing a 10-year, $112 million deal. That starts immediately, by the way. The raise goes into effect right now. 6 years Kirby's been at Georgia. They're 66-15. So the average season's 11-2, 11-3, something like that. 1 SEC championship, 1 national championship. And I think every year but 1, they've played in what we'd consider a January 1st bowl. NBA, this story broke during our show yesterday. 76ers are going to build a new arena, but not for a while. Their lease doesn't expire in their current arena until 2031. But they're going to build it in downtown Philly in what's called the Fashion District. $1.3 billion is the price tag. They're paying for it themselves. Communities usually respond really well to things like that.
Yes. Now they just need James Harden to play a little better.
Right. San Jose Sharks are finalizing a deal with former Rangers head coach David Quinn to become their head coach. Reportedly, though, they're only giving him a 3-year deal. Anything less than 4 years in the NHL is basically their way of saying, we're not sure about you, but we'll take a flyer. And that was
the starting five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Kyler Murray. Remember, was it last week or the week before, they did a survey of, coaches, executives, media people, what have you, and they were ranking the quarterbacks. He didn't make the top 10. Then again, neither did Lamar, who came in at like 11. I think Kyler came in at like 13, right?
I only read the top 10. I mean, was the list that I had in front of me. So, no, he didn't make it, and I don't know where he ended up on the list.
By the way, we were talking about, Deshaun Watson can make that money. Lamar Jackson can make that money. Kyler Murray can make that money.
Yeah, exactly.
Lamar Jackson can make
no
that
doubt.
money.
No doubt now. I mean, if you're Lamar, don't you think your price went up yesterday?
It was a great day for Lamar Jackson.
Yeah. And he showed up early at Ravens camp. And he's like, don't worry, we're negotiating. We'll take care of this.
It starts at $46.1 million, and we work our way up from there.
Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com. Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Somebody was stuck to me. It literally was stuck to me.
That's kind of how everybody. That's what I remember. Everybody, the bridal. I mean, everybody. To this day, people still go, "That's the hottest wedding ever." Every time she puts an anniversary picture or something up, people will come. I mean, it's just a random someone. Oh man, that was a hot wedding.
My grandfather, it was an older church. It was near Rutgers, and it had red inside. The red was very much the coloring and stained glass and all that. And my grandfather never, ever said anything like this in his life. He walks in the church, and my grandfather loved the heat. And about midway through the ceremony, my mother told me, because I was best man, my mother said, my grandfather turned and looked at grandma and looked at her and said, "So is this what hell looks like?" Because of how red everything was. My grandmother went, "Thomas Vincent." Okay. My grandfather's like, "Well, I think we're going to catch on fire soon." Okay. And they were just pouring sweat.
So, same, better, or worse, or fruit?
I like fruit. Might as well save that to early next week, right?
Pushing it down the line.
Sure. Next week's last week of July, right?
Yeah.
Hot damn. Get to do final Monday, final Tuesday, final Wednesday.
First Monday, first Tuesday,
Right,
first
right.
Wednesday.
The following week. I mean, this is fantastic. By this time next week, the first number will be in a twos. Is it really, KW? It's 48 innings. So the Marlins, a little less than 2 more games to go.
Yeah, one in the dead ball area, one in an odd year.
Exactly. 68 was the dead ball, was the mound at 15 inches. That's why, Yaz won the batting title at 301. Right. McLean won 31 that year. Gibson's ERA was 1.12, I think. Yeah. Have you seen this ring?
Oh my goodness, yes. The top pops off and the SoFi Stadium is in it.
Is in the middle.
Yeah.
It's
of course, the
very Los Angeles.
Yeah, very, very Los Angeles.
I mean, look at that. You can't wear that out, for
No.
goodness sakes.
Very bling bling.
I mean, I've lived in apartments smaller than that.
Hakeem Olajuwon had 6 games in his career where he had 5 in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
Where did that come from?
No, seriously.
Seriously, we're in the middle of I mean,
Twitter.
I
love stats.
Yeah, I got you.
Stats.
I want one 4-hour thing where the most important thing to use this show.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com, 36, 41, 48, the magic numbers, week 0, week 1, and then the kickoff to the NFL season. 36, 41, 48. Heck, 13 for those of you that'll take a preseason game, Hall of Fame game, 2 weeks yesterday. Raiders and Jags, 13 days away, 11 days away from the baseball trading deadline. It's the next big thing in my life, Mark.
I know, and I see we're doing a baseball guest today and everything. You got all excited.
Yes, it's time. It's time. We can't, unfortunately, get David Sampson. He's traveling the world. He climbed Mount Kilimanjaro, and he's
ran a marathon on it. Or whatever.
And now he's safari while running a marathon, I think, in Africa. So I'm hoping I can get a hold of him by the deadline.
He is the most interesting man in the world right now.
I just want to do an hour with him when we finally get him and say, listen, I want to talk about your trip. What made you want to do this? Climb a mountain.
Right. But he's running a marathon on a mountain.
Yeah.
That's the part that
I mean, what made you want to do this? And just what was it like? And, that sort of deal. So there was a picture of him on his Twitter account yesterday in which he said, yeah, this was at mile 24. He goes, I don't remember the last 3 miles.
I do know from 2 friends of mine who have run marathons all say that you get euphoric, that neither of them remember the whole race. That sounds like fun.
So, but yeah, I just, I feel it's time. A little bit later on this hour, we'll talk a little baseball.
He likes to gamble on baseball too. Ryan Spaeder, who's coming up on the show, he loves to bet baseball, puts a lot of his bets out there. He was on a really good run about a month ago.
Well, did he start betting the Mariners? Because that in and of itself,
we'll have to find out.
Run. Orioles and Mariners, you had a hell of a July.
One of the 10 best Twitter handles on the planet, the Ace of Spaeder.
He'll join
as an
us.
Iron Maiden fan, that's near and dear to me. So
he'll join us in about 35 minutes. We'll look ahead to the second half, even though it's the second 40% of the baseball season. But the trade deadline 11 days away, and someone that we think's a future Hall of Famer. They're saying that Juan Soto, for those of you who don't care about baseball, this young star is on the trade market because the team tried to sign him and they couldn't. So they're going to trade him now with 2.5 years left before free agency so you can get the most for him. And they're equating this with at least Miguel Cabrera being traded by the Marlins at the very least. In what was it, 05, 06, something like that. He was 23. And the next one they could come up with was Babe Ruth.
Okay.
I mean, that they think Juan Soto, if stays healthy and the whole deal, is going to end up having a type of career which is somewhere at least Miguel Cabrera-esque and could even be a little bit better and get you closer to, the other guy. That's how infrequently players like this at this stage of their careers are made available in a trade.
So there's 2 things you're going to need to get Soto, and that's a bunch of prospects, 1, and 2, a lot of cash. Because as you pointed out off air, and I've been reading about, you got a couple of contracts that Washington has that they may want to dump on whoever they're trading Soto with to get out from under Strasburg, to say the very least.
Strasburg will be hard. He's a 10-5 guy. He can turn down any deal, and the word is that he doesn't want to be traded. Quite frankly, we don't know if he'll ever pitch again either. But Patrick Corbin's a guy who's got 2.5 years left on a contract in which they paid him $20 million a year, and right now his ERA is like 6. And so the Nats want to get out from that. So yeah.
And I should be fired right now. I mistakenly said Iron Maiden, not Motorhead, with Ace of Spades. So if you want to send me home for the rest of the day, I will accept it.
It's a Friday. You were up early taking, your wife and daughter for a flight. So it's early, a little sleep deprived. It's okay.
But that's what happens when I get up at 3:00 in the morning.
Right. Normally it's closer to 4:30.
Yeah. So it's between 4 and 4:30, but that threw me for a loop. So that I apologize about. We've got to get a poll question up. Yesterday's poll question was about the Florida-Georgia game. I know you have a football one, but David, I always look at the National Day calendar. And since today is National Mango Day.
Ooh. You like mangoes?
I love mangoes.
Felipe?
Who doesn't?
I don't.
What?
I know. It's a character flaw of mine.
The Mighty Mango? Come on.
You would think.
You know what?
That's a great.
The Mighty Mangoes would have been a better name.
That would have been a great name. The Mighty Mangoes.
That's a good minor league name of an area where you have a lot of mangoes.
Mango with a face on it.
Yeah. Kids would love it.
Oh, yeah.
For those in Lake City and Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice, okay, we're broadcasting from Southwest Florida. They have a minor league baseball team called the Mighty Muscles.
And since you don't get Muscles anywhere near Florida, and the name makes absolutely no sense.
It's a name that has, I don't know if it's been well received. I do know that they're selling merchandise, though, that the kids seem to like it. So, but yes, so that's where that joke comes from. Mighty Muscles. Ooh, no, Mighty Mangoes.
Mighty Mangoes.
There you go. Okay.
But with it being National Mango Day, and there are a lot of people that don't like mangoes. I'm not going to put a mango up against like an apple. That would be silly. But since it is a fruit, why don't we just go with the best fruit? Your favorite fruit?
I do like melons, by the way. You would think I would like mango, but I don't like the taste. But like I like watermelon, I like cantaloupe, I like honeydew melon.
I'm surprised if you like cantaloupe that you wouldn't like mango, but that's
right.
They're similar.
They are
in texture and a little bit in taste.
They are, but it's also like the difference between an apple and a pear.
Fair enough.
You know, they look.
I'm with you. Like apples, I don't like pears. They have a similar crunch to them. No. Good, well received.
So you're right, Felipe. I probably deserve a little bit of scorn, just maybe not as much as you think. That's all.
It's because you're not from Florida. That's what it is.
No, I don't think that has anything to do with it, but who knows? So you want to go fruit?
Favorite fruit? Orange, apple, banana.
Richard Simmons. Hello. No? See, you used to be able to tell jokes like that.
Can't tell jokes like
you
that.
can't do that anymore. It's all right. So apples, oranges. What are we going? Bananas,
banana, grape.
Okay, well, that's probably the big four.
Is that the big four? I don't think I'm missing anything.
I mean, is there anything that? I mean, that's standard. That's apples, oranges, bananas, grapes. I know what I would have voted for as a kid. I would have voted apple. But now as an adult, I'll probably vote banana.
So I'll get it up there on Twitter here shortly, and we'll go from there.
Okay. You know, I've been watching a lot of old comedy shows lately. Hence the joke that you used to be able to tell in the 70s, 80s, 90s. You know, that was very Letterman-esque of me. And you're not allowed to do that anymore.
No.
So
didn't Richard Simmons just have like a Super Bowl ad that was really funny?
Yeah. Those are jokes that you used to be able to tell. And so, you know, fortunately, you know, we are what we are, you know. But anyway.
What's that text line? You want to text the show? FSN Radio is the keyword. The number is 21,000. 21,000 is the number. FSN Radio. FSN Radio, the keyword if you've never texted before. Your favorite fruit. Would love to hear from you because I'm sure we'll get some really colorful answers now that David's opened the door.
Come on. It's a little, not that there's anything
should have
wrong
gone with that
that
whole football team thing we had there.
Really should have. Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Thanks so much for being with us. On a serious, somewhat note. So, if Barkley's able to pull this off, doesn't that change the narrative forever for the LIV golf? If Barkley, who's seriously considering working and broadcasting LIV golf tournaments, if he, A, takes the job, and B, suffers little to no consequences in terms of losing his Turner gig and losing his Subway, Dick's Sporting Goods, Capital One gig, doesn't that end it? That inside the golf world, they could lose their flipping minds, and they will continue to lose their flipping minds. But it's beyond the golf world that, to me, it would end, wouldn't it?
To a point. I'm very interested in next week's tournament in Jersey with the 9/11 families protesting to see if this gets beyond the sports page, David.
Well, next week it will. Next week, it definitely will.
But will it outside of, and I know if it happens in New York, it happens everywhere. I get it.
Right.
But there's a difference between being the lead story in the 6 o'clock block and being the lead story or B story in the 6:30 block, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if next week will make any national news. I think it might.
Oh, no, I'd bet my job it'll make national news next week. First off, it's located within an hour of where all those newscasts are basically based out of. And secondly, it involves a Trump golf course, and September 11th. And it's late July when there's not much going on.
So I think next week, then the public sentiment against the LIV Tour will be at its peak.
Well, certainly in the New York metropolitan area, it will be.
Which means it will be then from the media standpoint.
Right.
Because the rest of the media world will then mushroom off of what's going on nationally.
But then the weekend will happen, and we'll flip the calendar into August. And listen, next week will be the crescendo.
I agree.
Of negativity. Because the golf world still can't badmouth this enough. And now then some of the outside world is really going to be loud and vocal and nasty towards it. And then just like that, it will flip. And it will be August. We'll have football. We'll have football. The Thursday after this golf tournament, we'll have a nationally televised football game.
Do you think Barkley will lose his sponsors if he takes this gig?
Absolutely.
I do too.
I don't think he'll lose his Turner gig. I don't.
Is that just a gut feeling, or is there...
No, it's a gut feeling. No, I haven't talked to anybody about this. I mean, the Barkley interview only came out, like dinner time, a little after last night. No. But to me, Mark, this is simple. Turner's got too much invested in him, in that show. I mean, come on.
No, it's the number one pregame show there is out there.
I mean, are you really going to jeopardize your franchise commodity over LIV golf? I mean, come on. You don't really care if you're Turner.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
September, and then I got the next weekend off.
Okay.
You know what bothers me? The Astros have the same record as the Dodgers. They're so good.
They can win the World Series.
Like, they're beating the hell out of the cheating scandals.
Yes.
They are beating the hell out of them.
Yep. But they did cheat.
They did. But hell, they're still freaking good.
Yeah.
It's annoying.
Big game week 2. You want to talk about a fun little sneaky week 2 game? Tennessee at Pitt.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's a good football game right there.
It's a Johnny Majors game.
I know.
Pitt plays at Heinz Field, right?
See, they're keeping the ketchup bottle.
Or whatever it is.
No.
See,
nope.
They're keeping the ketchup bottle.
Wait, they're keeping
They worked
it?
out a deal. It's going to be the Heinz Red Zone. Worked it out yesterday.
Let's
that's
go.
what Heinz was talking about.
That's fantastic.
You got Florida and Kentucky. because week 2 can be a dud some years. Alabama, Texas. There's 3 good SEC games. One of them's a conference game.
I feel like Mark's holding the Bible right now.
South Carolina, Arkansas.
I mean, forget the game we were supposed to have. I thought it was at Air Force. I thought it was like Colorado at Air Force. Week 2, but
Big Ten schedule, week 2. There's not a competitive game.
Really?
Iowa State.
Oh, there you go.
Nebraska, North Dakota.
North
Oh,
Dakota?
North Dakota. Sorry.
The Sioux aren't bad. Well, used to be the Fighting Sioux. Now they're not the Sioux anymore. That sucks. They'll always be the Sioux to me.
I mean, that's the best Big Ten game, week 2.
Hey, I was told the other day that Larry Bird has a house in Naples.
He did. I don't know if he still does. I think he does.
And Mike Ditka lives in Naples, too.
Has for a very long time. Yeah.
I wonder if he listens to the show.
Week 2, Louisville at UCF on a Friday night.
Yeah, that's good. By the way, so is that Louisville's or UCF's big game this year?
Oh, let's see. Probably big non-con. Yeah, probably. And I think because this guy thinks they can. Phil.
Remember they lost at Louisville last year, and Gabriel got
Georgia
hurt.
Tech. They've got home games with Louisville and Georgia Tech
here
before conference play.
So they get Louisville, Georgia Tech.
Their schedule.
Do they get of the teams in the AAC?
SMU and Cincinnati and Navy.
What about South Florida?
That's at South Florida.
Okay, so they get Louisville, Georgia Tech, SMU,
Temple,
Cincinnati, Navy, Temple.
Yeah, and South Carolina State's.
That's not a bad home schedule.
That's a pretty good home schedule.
Yeah.
Hops, that's cool.
Yeah, is it the Hideout where like Bird and Ditka and them are Wanstead? Is that where they're members?
I don't know if Ditka is. I know Bird is.
Have you guys ever had Ditka on the show?
Yes, numerous times.
Nice.
Yep.
I'm good.
Mark, I feel like you're holding the Bible.
I am.
Can't wait for the Yankees to choke in October, like they always do.
Well, I don't know if they get beat if it is choking.
They clearly can't beat the Astros. So if that would be choking, they lost 5 of 7 in the regular season.
And the 2 wins were walk-off wins. Most every inning they've played against the Astros this year, they've been losing.
Did they win last night, the Yankees?
No, they
lost a doubleheader against the Astros.
They lost.
Again, we just did the starting 5, not more than an hour ago.
Yes,
and you just tune out the show.
Well, I know it bores you.
No, it's not that it bores me.
But you don't listen to it.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes after the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Is that poll question up?
No.
That was not the answer.
I'm typing it as we speak.
Not the answer I was expecting. They say that about attorneys when you're in a trial. Never ask a question of someone in which you don't know the answer. Probably should also pertain to like radio talk show hosts, too.
Yeah, we don't follow that rule at all.
Well, it's one thing to not follow it with a guest. You're trying to learn something. They're the entertainment.
Right.
We're not. But it probably should apply to each other, shouldn't it? We will have a poll question up shortly, in which today is like National Mango?
National Mango Day. So in honor of it, what is your favorite fruit?
There you go.
And I've got orange, apple, grapes, banana.
That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter.
No offense to strawberries, watermelon, or any other fruit that may have been neglected on this.
Right. Sorry. We went with the big four.
I think those are the big four. I mean, strawberries could replace grapes, but I do love me a grape. Regular or fermented.
I mean, is this like we're going Power 5 fruit, not Group of 5? Strawberries is kind of like the AAC. I mean, it's good. It's solid.
Probably makes the mango the Mac.
And there are times in which the strawberry can, jump up and beat a Power 5. But
most of the time it gets stepped on.
Right. Most of the time we're going to leave you out. We're going to pat you on the head. Maybe if you have a good year, we'll invite you to a New Year's Day game.
So banana Big 12? Is that what you're saying?
Not bad. Not bad.
Banana could win this.
Is Apple
you never know.
ACC?
I would say the orange is the SEC. The apple's the Big 10.
Okay. All right. The grape, the Pac-12?
Yeah.
Okay. So
there you have it. It's up. Poll question's up.
FloridaSportsNetwork.com. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter. So if Kyler Murray's getting 46.1 a year, remember it was a little over a year ago is it a year ago or 2 years ago that Dak got 40 and people were losing their minds that Dak got 40 because he's somewhere on his best day. He's probably 8. And on his day, he's probably 12 in terms of ranking of quarterbacks. And that recent survey that was done, Dak came in at 10, somehow, some way, one spot ahead of Lamar Jackson. Most people don't agree with. So he's making 40. Now Kyler's making 46, although he's not making it for 2 more years. Think about who we got coming up here. I mean, Russ has already announced after this year, we're renegotiating my contract. So Russell Wilson.
Yep.
Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Justin Herbert.
Bingo.
What if Tua has a really good year? Now, Lamar Jackson obviously is up now. So, those guys, they're going to get around $50 million a year. They just are. Which is another reason why you could argue Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes signed contracts, especially in Mahomes' case. It's way too long. Why he signed 10 plus years at $45 million a year? That contract is going to be so outdated by 2025.
Just remember when he renegotiates that.
Yeah.
A lot sooner than later. Don't hold a grudge.
Right.
Because he deserves it.
And not only that, he structured the contract in a way in which, like, every single year of the contract, they can turn salary into bonus and actually create more cap room for the Chiefs. So it is a staggeringly good deal for the Chiefs. If you're paying someone $500 million can be a staggeringly good deal. But think about it. And what if Tua goes? He's got the weapons, and he was taken 5th overall in the draft, and his senior year of college or his last year of college, it was we were tanking for Tua. He's got ability. Let's just say he goes out and he has a good year. They win 10, 11 games. They make the playoffs. He has a good year. Throws 30 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. Okay, then he's now played 3 years. You'll pick up his 5th-year option. Okay. But then year 4 is kind of like, well, we got to negotiate with this guy, or we're going to let him walk in 2 years. Well, if he has a really good year, you don't want him to walk. So now we're going to pay him. Well, now, Mark, you tell me. You're the Dolphins. I'm Tua. Assume I have a
good to very good year.
Yeah, scale 1 to 10, I give you an 8, 8.5.
Ooh.
I'll give you an 8.
That 8's good enough.
I'll give you an 8.
And then what do you do? Because you've got him 2 years. You could franchise him 2 more, so you could have him for 4 more years.
Dak's at 40. Kyler's now at 46.1. I mean, if I'm Tua and you're the Dolphins, I'm going to look at you if I have a good year and go
50.
No, that I think
you think he's 43?
No, I think, but I'm going to at least ask for what Dak has. And you're going to tell me, you ain't as good as Dak Prescott. And I'm going to say, yeah, I don't know what to tell you. This is how the NFL works. It just does. I mean, they just paid Kyler Murray more money than they pay Patrick Mahomes a year. And see,
Allen. I think the Kyler Murray deal is the one you got to look at because Kyler Murray's been a little up and down. Dak's been more consistent than Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
So if Tua has the 8 year that you're talking about, they're going to be looking at Kyler Murray money, not Dak money. I really believe that. And if you're Miami,
right,
what do? You're invested in this guy. You've put an offense around him that you don't want to get into franchise tags.
And yes, and you have to, yes, are certain quarterbacks, quote unquote, overpaid? Absolutely.
The position's overpaid.
It's just like NBA players. The money they're throwing around now for certain NBA players, you shake your head and go, how in the world are they paying so-and-so, giving so-and-so a max contract? And you go, that's just the cost of doing business these days. You either have to do it or you lose them. Well, it's the same with a quarterback.
And a couple people at Twitch chat room said, "What if he doesn't? If he doesn't, it's really easy. You can move on. You don't add up. You don't take the fifth year. It's simple. That part of it's easy.
Right. He goes out this year and gives you a 5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Well, hell, you don't pick up his 5th year option,
and you're drafting a quarterback to replace him.
Yeah, or you're going out and signing Jimmy G or whatever. Yeah, you're moving on.
I mean, that's the easiest decision there is. But the tough decision is if he has a really good year, because we haven't had enough very good to great out of Tua to justify paying him the big money, but that's what quarterbacks are going to be getting. And I think he's going to be looking at 46. I do. I think he's going to look at Kyler Murray's deal.
I mean, Kyler Murray is regarded in NFL circles as somewhere around the 12th best quarterback in the league. He just got $46 million a year. We all know how it works. It trickles.
Yeah, and that's why I don't do the Dak. You do it off the last deal, not the one that happened a couple of years ago.
But we're also saying that Tua is not as good as Dak and Kyler.
But if he has an 8, he's going to want to get paid like them. I agree with you. But if you're asking me from Tua's end what I'm going to be looking for.
Never mind. I mean, if you're the Ravens, can we just end this charade? Don't you just do 5 for $250 now? Or at least 5 for $240, which is $48 a year. I mean, come on. Let's just get this over with. I mean, come on. What are we arguing about here? You're obviously paying me. Come on. I want an MVP, taking you to the playoffs. All right. The whole offense is based around me, for goodness sakes. I mean, what are we arguing about
You've
here?
committed to me as much as I've committed to you. You've changed everything in order for this offense to work with me as quarterback.
Now, unlike the Deshaun Watson deal, which was fully guaranteed, Kyler Murray's deal, not fully guaranteed. It's more like a normal contract, say 65% of it's guaranteed. But I mean, you're the Ravens, I'm Lamar Jackson. I mean, come on. What are we arguing about here? How much of this we're going to guarantee? I mean, it's $250 million over 5 years. You want to guarantee 150. I want to guarantee 200. Say we split the difference and sign.
You've got to guarantee him more than Kyler Murray. And he's getting 160 guaranteed. So I'm with you there. Miller and Moulton. Little baseball talk on the other side right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex in the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Tell you what, Mark, you were right about yesterday when you were talking about like the double headers. Going to those 2 Astro games yesterday probably was a lot of fun. Of course, Marlins man was there.
Has he returned to Marlins games at all or no?
I think he was at a couple this year.
He just doesn't do the season tickets anymore.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. Him and Jeter had a...
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
My God, what a catch.
Let's see, that's a catch.
Oh, boy. Here we go. Don't get me started. Oh, I remember that one.
Well, I will say, Hops, if you do it that way, you get them for this year and 4 more.
Don't you think Ravens fans would be pissed off if they don't pay Lamar? Because Ravens fans love Lamar Jackson, right?
Yes. If you've spent any time in Baltimore, he is
yeah.
everywhere.
Yeah, he is the man.
Now, it will be interesting now that the Orioles are coming back, because the Orioles
Right.
were there first and are beloved.
They're bigger than the Ravens.
No, not anymore.
Not in the 21st century. Would you say? Because I mean, the Ravens.
Yeah, the NFL's bigger,
right?
But
you know, MLB was big in the 20th century. The
Oh,
Orioles
no,
were
no.
really good in the
well,
20th century.
the Orioles had a half a century head start on
Right.
the Ravens.
But what? Ravens have 2, 3 Super Bowls in the 21st century? 2, I think.
2.
Yeah, 2. And if you can do it with Joe Flacco, you can do it with Lamar. Ooh, HP Golf. I like peaches and plums. They're very good, very underrated, but I don't think they're top tier fruit. My underrated pick would be lychees.
Did you see this? Derek Bartlett, per a source, Arizona will accept an offer to join the Big 12
What?
today.
Whoa.
He's a collegiate reporter for the Big 12 based out of Louisville, Texas.
Wait,
now,
what?
we'll say he's got 50 followers, but so that's interesting. He actually reported this 21 hours ago. So that didn't happen, right? He was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. 1 hour from now, Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network. It's that time of year. People are showing up, going to work. Talk to Matt Cannata about it 1 hour from now. Ryan Spaeder, kind enough to join us once again. MLB analyst, big into numbers, featured on MLB Network. Follow him on Twitter, Ace of Spaeder, the Ace of Spaeder, Spaeder. Ryan, it's David and Mark once again. Top of the morning to you. How are you?
I'm doing great, gentlemen. How are you?
Well, we are good. We are good, and we are fired up for the second half, or second 40%, if you will, of the baseball season. What do you think is going to happen in the next 11 days with Juan Soto?
Oh, man. I do think it is in the Nationals' best interest to deal him now, simply because it's so difficult to say, because this is a 23-year-old kid still, and he's one of the best players in baseball. We're looking at a situation like, a Ted Williams type deal where this guy comes into the league at 19 years old and he's already one of the best baseball players. And it's such a unique scenario now because we're seeing contracts approaching $500 million. I don't think the Nationals currently have stability in their ownership right now where they're going to be able to lock him up. They did make an offer, a really strong offer, but when you look at the AAV, it just wasn't really there in terms of what the elite ball players getting paid. And so at this point, I think they're going to try to move him possibly to. I saw St. Louis in the running, a bunch of West Coast teams in the running. God forbid he ends up on the Dodgers. I just think right now, because of the control that he still has with the arbitration year incoming, I think that right now is the time that you're going to get the most possible for Juan Soto. And though he had a slower start to the season versus what we're used to seeing from him, there's really no protection in that lineup. And his on-base percentage is elite. He really started to heat up right before the end of the break. So I wouldn't at all be surprised to see him dealt unless they think they can lock him up. But again, I'm not sure why they would lock him up, because the only thing you hear about is the Lerners potentially selling the team. I think the only scenario we see them extend him is where a potential buyer of the team is saying, hey, look, we're not going to even consider it unless you lock up Juan Soto for us.
Well, that is the other question. The other side of it is, Ryan, who else will they want to ship off with him? Because if they're going to get rid of him, there's some salary dump that would come with it. I don't think it's just prospects on the other side. Is it also a part of who the Nats can deal with Soto?
So they have Josh Bell, but I don't think that they're too concerned about dumping that contract. He's a phenomenal ball player. He really, since leaving Pittsburgh, has done great for the Nationals. If anybody they're going to package as a dump, a salary dump, I don't know. Do you put Strasburg in there with him? Do you put Patrick Corbin in there? And at that point, you're just talking about shaving off, millions of dollars going into the future of this team. And then a potential buyer is looking at a completely clean slate, a whiteboard, completely unwritten on for the future of this team. But at the same time, I think you're looking at a team that's not going to compete for a very long time. Some of their best prospects, and I hate using that term because in baseball, let's face it, most prospects, it doesn't matter where you're taken in the draft. Generally, they don't pan out. Just look at even the number one overall picks over the last 10 years or so. We've got. I default to Philadelphia because it's my hometown team, but Mickey Moniak, man, this guy's a 175 big league hitter. What is going on? Baseball seems like it's the only sport where you're not getting a sure thing in the first couple rounds, and it's a really difficult situation to be in if you're Washington with the potential ownership change and the structure of the team right now, because it's really not good throughout.
Ryan Spaeder, baseball analyst, deep into the numbers, been featured on MLB Network. Follow him on Twitter, the Ace of Spaeder, Spaeder. All right, besides the Yankees and Astros, anybody else in the American League that you're like, hey, pay attention to this team, they'll give these two something to handle in October? Or do we know what the ALCS is going to be already?
Well, it's funny because we had the Yankees and Astros game yesterday, and I was watching those games, and I'm looking at the Yankees lineup, and I was a little bit confused because I'm like, yeah, of course you got Judge in there, you've got Stanton in there, and Carpenter's playing out of his mind, which I don't think he's going to reproduce in the second half. I kind of saw him on a downturn. And then Rizzo hitting home runs at a career rate later in his career. I just was looking at some of the players that they had in there, Torres and Ishikawa. I'm like, is this a team that scored 500 runs in the first half of the season? And it really didn't read like that to me. So I question whether or not the Yankees are quite as good as we think they are. I think Nestor Cortez started to come back down to earth as we approach the All-Star break, and I expect that to be a trend that continues. We're 2 months into the season, you were talking about this guy running away with the Cy Young, not you guys personally, but running away with the Cy Young Award, and now you're not even really hearing whispers about him even being a potential contender for it. And I think that comes season end, he's probably not going to be anywhere close to the top five. So I question whether the Yankees are going to be able to do it in the postseason. Now, that remains to be seen what they're going to do at the deadline here. But I think other teams that are sneaky good in the American League are the Mariners. Toronto, not really a team that you could say is sneaky good because we know how dangerous and potent that offense is. But I think that they have enough pitching where they could compete in the postseason, which we all know is a very different type of baseball than 162 games when you're using really just a 3-4 man rotation and it's all hands on deck. You're not saying, hey, I'm not pitching a relief pitcher 3 nights in a row because I got to save him for the postseason. Well, we're in the postseason. And then, of course, the Twins are outperforming everybody's expectations, I think, because they signed Correa to that deal. And there was like, okay, well, they're signing him to trade him. And I just didn't agree with that from the get-go because I was like, look at this lineup. And sure enough, they got 421 runs already. They're right there with Toronto as one of the best offenses in baseball. Toronto has 428. And then, as I mentioned, the Yankees 500. I don't view that lineup currently as a 500 first half run lineup.
You do baseball all the time. We've talked about this on our show, and he's been asked about it. But you said on a tweet yesterday, kind of started to think the Angels should consider moving Ohtani. Value is incredibly high, and I don't know if they'll be adding another massive contract. We agree. Do you think there's any chance of that happening in the next 11 days?
I don't, honestly, in this particular case. I think, and I don't know this man personally, so this is just my perception based on the team's history, but I think Art Moreno's as most billionaires do, got a little bit of ego about him. And I think I don't think he wants to believe that he doesn't have a team that can compete, even though that we see year in and year out with arguably one of the best players, I don't know, maybe in history, Mike Trout, that they don't make the postseason. Trout's got 3 career postseason games. They got Ohtani, who is, something we have not seen since Babe Ruth. And in the case of trading Ohtani, why I think it's the team's best interest is you've got to build this team for the future. You're going to need players who have some control, because you've got massive contracts throughout this team, and they've had throughout this team's recent history. You look at Rendon, Trout, Pujols contract, which most people don't know. They're still paying him, and they will for the next 10 years. You've got Josh Hamilton comes to mind, C.J. Wilson. They've just made all of the wrong signings, it seems. And when you tend to do that over and over again, you put yourself in a position where there's somebody who you absolutely should sign, a guy like Shohei Ohtani, but you're probably not going to be able to, because they're not going to add another $250, $300+ million contract.
They should, though. I think they really should. And worry about the rest. But to show you how delusional the Angels are, you know why Ohtani didn't pitch in the All-Star game? The Angels asked him not to, because they want him to start the first game post-break. The Angels are, 15 games below 500? 11 games out of the final playoff spot with 6 teams that they would have to hurdle?
And 21.5 behind in their own division.
Right.
It's not pretty.
Right. But they're like, hey, come on now. We need Ohtani to pitch the first game after the break, because, we're in this. I mean, that's the mindset of where the Angels are coming from. Quickly in the National League, are the Marlins close if they got a bat or two, or are the Marlins actually a bad team with a couple of good starters?
No, I do like the Marlins team a lot, and they always disappointed me a little bit of late in recent starts. I actually took Pablo Lopez as my Cy Young Award winner. I think we talked about this before. And I just really think that when you have the amount of good pitching that they have, Trevor Rogers has been a disappointment this year. But, I always mess up Sandy's last name, so I'm not even going to give it a shot. But when you have a team with that great of starting pitching, really what you have to do is ensure that you can hold some W's for these guys with their bullpen, and then you can also help them out with the sticks. I don't know what they were doing signing Jorge Soler after that postseason. I think he was more of that player that we had seen throughout his career, really. I do think they're in a position where they can potentially compete in the very near future, but I think they're in a division that is not going to be conducive to that for this season. It's a shame to see Jazz Chisholm go down. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Some people don't like his, I don't know what they call it now, the swag or whatever he plays with, but I think he makes it a lot of fun for kids, and he's potentially a guy who's going to bring fans into the ballpark. So I do think in the very near future, this team's going to be competing potentially for one of those wild card spots, because I don't know. The Mets just seem like they're going to spend ridiculous amounts of money. Apparently they're even in on Soto. So who knows if they would offer him a $500+ billion contract. But I do think this Marlins team is capable of competing. I just don't know if it's going to be this season with them being in fourth place in the division.
The guy who sits across me rooting for the Mets, as you said, $500 million, just nodding his head up and down, saying, yes, they would. Yes, they would. If you're the Rays, what do you do right now? I mean, they're banged up. They're still obviously right in this to make the playoffs. I think you have to be a buyer, but what do they need? If you're Tampa, what do you do for the deadline?
So, again, I want to go back to the Yankees really quickly on that because
we got about 2 minutes, Ryan.
All right, the Rays are 12 games out, so it's going to be a very steep hill to get it over the into the division spot. But the Rays, are a team that I have never been able to explain because they always find a way to compete. I do think they have to buy. I think we're going to see them maybe make a move where people are going to question whether or not this is a very good idea. They trade Brandon Lowe or something, Randy Arozarena, and on the surface, it's going to look like, what are the Rays doing? Are they punting on this season? And then, sure enough, they're going to go on a run and end up in the postseason and probably deep in the postseason.
They need a bat. They do. They need a bat, I think, this year. Now, last year, remember, they went and got Nelson Cruz, and he was okay.
They might do it again this year.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think they need one more bat. Ryan, appreciate your time and your insight. Sorry I didn't send you the text in advance. Okay, I'll do better next time.
And we enjoy the free money you give away on Twitter making your bets, Ryan. Keep up the good work.
I appreciate it. Have a great day, gentlemen.
Ryan Spaeder, MLB analyst, stats analyst, featured on MLB Network. Follow him on Twitter, the Ace of Spaeder, Spaeder, the Ace of Spaeder, Ryan Spaeder, joining us here on Miller and Moulton.
I'm going to listen to Motorhead so loud in the car after the show today. And I'm going to sing it. I'm going to do my Lemmy impression in the car.
Well, I mean, there's a chance of risky business in the house, right? With the wife and daughter gone.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be on 11 all weekend long, David. This is going to be crazy. My neighbors aren't going to know what to think.
Instead of sliding across the floor, though, you'll just be hanging out in the pool.
That's it.
Right.
Lounging back.
It's 40 years later. It's the Florida way of risky business. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I'm sick of Ryan's whole spiel of, oh, you know, they can compete, but in the next couple of years, I've heard that way too many times. I'm sick of it.
Why are you sick of it?
Because, in 2-3 years, they'll be good. Oh, they can compete. They're just on the
Oh, you
cusp.
mean the Marlins?
The Marlins. I'm sick of it. I can't hear that anymore.
They've got like a 4-hour layover in Baltimore. I didn't even realize it was that long.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest flight you can fucking get.
Right.
I don't know what they get. They get
American?
No, Southwest. They get in really late Sunday, like after midnight. I'll be just a joy Monday morning.
Oh no. No, you did not.
Gotta admit, I've always loved their end zones.
Yes, the CFL end zone.
And I understand the stadiums are built and the whole deal. And so there's a part of me that's always wondered, you sure they couldn't add 5 yards? You sure they couldn't make their end zones
fit? Do we really need to make scoring easier in the NFL?
Huh?
The one thing I like about the end zone is it makes the field goals 5 yards longer. Because they actually have their goalpost at the goal line. I'd put them all the way back.
That's one.
Here's another problem that I know baseball teams don't consider, Felipe, but if we were sitting around with the Marlins, I would look at them and go, here's the other problem. Not only are you not winning, you're boring. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm a Mets fan. The Mets have only been known for pitching. I love dominant pitching, but it's not exciting unless everybody's striking out 12, and even today, that's not as exciting as it used to be. So, you got an attendance problem. You'd probably, not only do you need more offense to win.
The Twins are only averaging 22,000 a game. They're in first place.
Aside from the bullshit COVID season.
April attendance is hard there, but yeah. Yeah.
Aside from the bullshit COVID season that featured a Marlins playoff run, because that was cool,
Hey.
They haven't been fun since 2017, 2016.
Right. They had a couple of years there with Stanton where, they were, and Yelich, and yeah.
Do you remember Adeiny Echeverria?
Yeah.
He was amazing.
Yeah, they had the best outfield in baseball.
Yes, and
traded it all away.
And Adeiny would jump like 40 inches into the air.
And they also had Gordon at second, and
middle infield.
They were an entertaining team.
Yes. What's his name?
And that's the irony. Then they needed a little more pitching.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's hard. It's so hard being.
But see, nobody has pitching. The Marlins do. So everybody would want to deal with the Marlins.
Well,
so they really should be able to find the bats.
Well, Ryan was talking about it. The pitching has been kind of disappointing this year. For like some of our
the
guys in our rotation.
If you look at it closely, they're 14th in Major League Baseball in pitching. But they're awful at runs.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the 8:00 hour of Miller and Moulton on this Friday, final hour of the week in Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice, and Lake City and surrounding areas. Halfway home in the 239, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Yesterday's poll question revolved around the Florida-Georgia game when Kirby Smart pounded the table basically and was like, we got to get this game on campus. So we asked you, should we get this game on campus? And what, 53% of you said
53% said yes. I was stunned that ended up getting over 50%.
That's the first time. We've asked that question, I'd say 3 times in 10 years. on this show.
That's the first time that the majority was on campus.
I think we've actually asked it once in every act.
Well,
actually, so maybe that's the last time. Then we can ask it in this our third act.
I hope so.
Well, I sure hope there's not a fourth.
I mean, I don't want the third to end. If it does, I hope there's a fourth, but I don't want that either.
Because somehow I don't think the third time getting fired would be a charm. But so that was, why we did the question that we did yesterday. Today's reasoning as to why we're doing the question, well, it's very simple.
It's National Mango Day. So we ask you what your favorite fruit is. Mango didn't make the list because it's, if it is your favorite fruit, good for you.
Would it make the second tier? Would it be a group of 5 poll question? We went with the Power 5 poll question. We went with the biggies.
I think it's a mid to low major because I think your next rung is going to be your strawberry, your watermelon, your peach,
okay,
maybe a pear.
So basically, you're thinking that mango is like an FCS.
Yeah.
All right.
Your mangoes. Maybe a lychee, something like that. It's a delicious fruit. I love it.
I know.
I'm all for a mango. I've got a couple at home.
Gotcha.
You have a tree at home?
No, but one of my wife's coworkers does, and will bring in mangoes on a regular basis.
Ooh.
A lot of mango theft in Miami these days. A lot of mango theft.
When I ran cross country in high school, there was a family in running back to the school. We ran back the same way every time, and we ran past this one family's house, and they had a pear tree. They actually had 2 of them. And we used to it was at the very end of our run, we could see the high school, and coach always wondered why, man, your times are terrible. We would stop with like 45 seconds left in our run.
Have a pear.
Grab
a couple pears.
Pear, and then start running. He goes, man, if you guys run like this in the meet, we're going to get our butt kicked. We're like, nah, we were just coasting near the end. Don't worry about it. But so the big 4, apple, orange, banana, grape. That's our poll question. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FloridaSportsNetwork.com, the honor of National Mango Day. What's your favorite fruit?
You can always text the show. The keyword is FSN Radio. If you've never texted the show before, FSN Radio to 21,000. The number is 21,000. Text us with whether it's your fruit, whether it's your. Someone said Notre Dame. I've had 2 nominations for Notre Dame. It's the tomato is the Notre Dame because they're not in the.
Right. That's very good. Independent.
It really is.
Love it. Love it. Is it a fruit? Is it a vegetable?
Exactly.
It's a vegetable to me.
Someone else called Notre Dame the pineapple.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
Catholic and all didn't think they were swingers like that, but that's just me.
Well, it depends on the church.
Hello?
Can we have that kind of fun on a Friday? No. No. Hello.
2 Catholics in the room. One on the other side of the glass. I think we're fine.
I hope so. I hope we qualify. Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Kyler Murray, $230.5 million extension. The 0.5 is key. Then the agent gets to say, I negotiated the second biggest AAV contract for a quarterback in league history. Of course, the contract doesn't kick in for another 2 years, and the final year and a half of it's not guaranteed, but that's okay. Get the headlines. Figures are out there. But think about all the quarterbacks now. I mean, Dak got his money a year or so ago, $40 million a year. Now Kyler will eventually, after his rookie contract runs out, he'll be making $46 a year. I mean, think about Lamar. This offseason, Russell Wilson. He was a rookie in 2012. He will complete his 11th year in the league this year. Clearly a top 10 quarterback. Some years he's been top 5. You're the Denver Broncos. What's it going to cost? Because this is his last contract, you got to figure. So he is going to hold out for every dollar. What's that going to take, Mark? You're the Broncos.
What's Aaron getting?
53.
Russ is going to want 50.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And he may want 52.9.
Right.
And he's going to want 5 years. See, that's the thing. Stafford just re-upped his deal. When he negotiated the deal after winning the Super Bowl, he was negotiating from this is probably my last contract. I'm 34, play 4 or 5 more years. So this is it. Well, Russell Wilson's going to be thinking the same thing. So if you're the Broncos, 5 for $250?
Yes.
Guarantee $175 of it?
Gonna have to.
Probably give him 50 at signing. Here you
it
go.
might have to guarantee closer, 180.
So, we're thinking that's where the Ravens are going to have to go with Lamar.
Murray just got 160 guaranteed.
Right.
On that deal.
So
when you're Lamar and when you're Russ, you're going to want more guaranteed money. That's just the way this game's played.
Right. And that's basically 70% of Kyler Murray's contract's guaranteed. So that's about 3.5 years of the 5-year deal is guaranteed.
What's Joe Burrow going to get again?
Well, I think Joe Burrow is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league when he signs. I think he's going to make more per year than Aaron Rodgers. I do. I don't see how Mike Brown has any leverage at all. Any leverage at all. That franchise was in trouble 3 years ago. Trouble. We had Mo Egger on this show, and Mo Egger was like, I bring up Bengals and people yell at me. Why? And the Bengals wanted a new stadium 3 years ago, and Mo Egger was telling us that a lot of people in the city were like, you guys can move. We're okay with that. We'd prefer you move across the border to Kentucky and stay in the area. But if you want to move this franchise, we ain't paying for a new stadium, just so you know. And now
Joe Burrow may have gotten them a new stadium. So what's his asking price?
So when he says I want 6 for $330, 55 per. And in fact, I may want 8 for $440.
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer to 8 than it is to 6. And that 440 is going to want 70% of that guaranteed.
Right. He's going to want at least $300 million of it guaranteed.
Right.
And Mike Brown, who throws money around like manhole covers, imagine the check. Joe Burrow may look Mike Brown in the face and go, by the way, I want $100 million up front. Like when I signed the deal, you hand me a thing. 8 zeros, just so you know. That's 8 zeros.
And it took a while, but now NFL quarterbacks are starting to get paid by European soccer players.
Yeah. They're at least, they can call them up, not be embarrassed.
Don't have to go to the kids' table anymore.
I know. Did you see? I don't follow any of this, but, the one guy transfer fee earlier this week was over $500 million.
Yes.
The transfer fee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Wow. Man. No wonder you need those Russian oligarchs to own these teams. Damn. You got to have some coin to operate these franchises. But, that's the type of contracts we're talking here. And by the way, these quarterbacks are still going to be making less than the high-end NBA player. It's another reason why you're going to see the quarterbacks look their owners in the face and go, listen, I'm making less than Joel Embiid,
We are the number 1 league in this country.
Pick the city in which if they also, not just an NFL team, they have an NBA team. And you could see where the star quarterback would look, like Russ. They've got Jokic in Denver there. And he signed this max deal. And you could see where Russell Wilson could look at his owner and go, well, I got to be making more than the 2-time MVP here. And when the owner tries to go, yeah, but it's a different deal. And the quarterback, I don't know what to tell you. He's a star center. And I'm a star quarterback.
It's just worth more.
You're right. Or as we like to say, where are you going to go? So, that's the kind of money that's going to start getting thrown around here in the next 24 months.
And as we've talked about, they had to go through with the COVID years, the cap stayed stagnant. It's going to start escalating at a pretty high rate with all these new TV deals coming in. Think about the DirecTV deal just in and of itself. It's 3 times the amount of money that they were getting before. Apple's going to be paying reportedly $3 billion. They were getting $1 billion from DirecTV. Just that deal alone, what that does to the salary cap.
The salary cap this year, now this is because of the pandemic, they had to roll it back for a couple years. Salary cap this year is $208.2 million. Within 5 years, the cap will be at least $300 million. I mean, it will be. You just do that. I mean, it's going to jump from 208, I believe, to 240 plus. It'll jump at least 15% this year. It might jump to 250. And then you just start doing the annual stuff. I mean, the cap was going up 10 plus million a year before this new TV deal. So imagine, what at 250 million a year, what it's going to start going up. If it starts going up 15 million a year, 3 years later, you're at 300. So then when the cap's 300 and you're paying your quarterback 55, you're shrugging your shoulders going, okay.
Pat always talks about what percent of the cap is on your quarterback. Well, when it's at 300 million and you're doing 50 to 55, that's
around 18%.
Right. You're in line.
Now, we gentlemen in our Twitch chat room told us there's never been a team win the Super Bowl with their quarterback taking up more than 15% of the cap. That Brady 1 year his year with the Bucks took up like 14.7%. I have a feeling that with the cap going up to the record levels it's going to come up, I think you're going to be able to raise that 15%. I can see where you wouldn't want it to be more than 20.
Right.
But a $300 million thing, you're paying your quarterback 60 or less. You're thinking, well, okay, it's doable.
60 or less.
Right. It's, quote, doable.
Miller and Moulton, we thank you all so much for listening right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Did you see Bud Elliott's tweet yesterday? Responding to a tweet from Chris Vanini, who said that one college football coach made at least $9.5 million last year, and right now we currently have 5, just a year later. But have to spend the money on something if you want to claim there's no money to pay the players, and you really can't build a second indoor facility with a mini golf course. He did that one time in the mid 80s. They were debating Social Security and upping the age of it and what have you. And he did one time, he said 103 in Los Angeles. And of course, Ed goes 103 in Los Angeles. Johnny looks at him, opens up the envelope and says, how old you'll have to be to collect Social Security.
I just, the one I remember, there happened to be a Monday Night Football game in which the Lions lost and there was 12 men on the field on the last play.
Okay.
And he just goes, and I mean, it's a Tuesday night show. And I happened to be watching it. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12.
And Ed repeats it.
How NFL officials count to 11. I mean, and I'm thinking about that looking back going, he was doing it because think about it.
Yep.
NFL's not the most popular sport in the country.
No,
now Howard's doing money. It was, it's probably a Billy Sims time, on the rare occasion that the Lions got on there. What I was doing, up watching the Tonight Show that next night, is a little beyond me.
Yeah, because you're like 12.
I stayed up late.
Yeah.
My parents would go to bed and I'd just sit there and watch television. That Dream On show, I could relate to that.
You know what Josh Rosen's last throw in the NFL was? A pick six. Yeah, dead streak. We were talking about that yesterday briefly. Kings suck. They're bad.
By the way, my mother has requested you stop cursing so much. And realize that.
I'd request that too. Scares the heck out of me.
Just saying.
I'm sorry, Mom. Very sorry. I always forget that there's
there are people listening.
No, but I always forget that Mama Moulton is always watching. She's always watching. Gotta watch my every step.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Poll question, your favorite fruit. Today's National Mango Day, so we were thinking fruits. Apple, orange, banana, grapes. We went with the 4 standards. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, floridasportsnetwork.com. Please vote. Matt Cannata, a little more than 15 minutes time. We'll talk a little football. Training camps veterans are starting to show up. by Monday, Tuesday of next week. I think every team's in camp by Tuesday of next week, the 26th. We don't do this very often, but this survey came out. It's not a list, but it's close.
All right.
It's the old cost of a family of 4 to go to.
Gotcha.
So it came out for baseball. Came out the other day, and I saved it. Marlins' second cheapest fan experience for a family of 4.
They have the second lowest average attendance in the league.
Apparently $136 is what it would cost a family of 4 to buy 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 2 beers, 2 sodas, and pay for parking.
Okay.
I challenge anybody to be able to pull that off, by the way. 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 2 beers, 2 sodas, and parking. Now, they say you could park for $15. I thought it was more to park in that lot that's kind of attached to the stadium, but okay. Arizona, by the way, cheapest fan experience. Beers are $4.99 listed at a Diamondbacks game. Beers at Marlins games are listed as $5. That's another thing I think I want to go and I want to sample, see whether or not I can get a $5 beer.
Let's go. Go to the ballpark.
The most expensive fan experience for a family of 4.
Got to be the Yankees.
It's not.
Dodgers?
No. Dodgers, by the way, 6th. Yankees 3rd.
Cubs?
2nd.
Your Mets?
No. Actually, Mets are, quick math here, like 13th.
Toronto?
No.
Boston?
There you go. So the 2 old places, Red Sox, Fenway, Wrigley, 1 and 2. They say the average ticket to a Red Sox game is a little under $62. Okay. Or at least, and then they say you can get beer for $9.50. You can get sodas for $5.50, a $6 hot dog, $23 and change to park. Apparently for a family of 4 to go, it costs you $325 to go see a Red Sox game.
Sounds about right. It was I was there a few years ago. It was not cheap.
So average Cubs game would be about $12 less, about $313. Average Yankee game would be $303. There's one part, however, about the Yankees game that they say you can get a hot dog at Yankee Stadium for $3.
Okay.
No flipping way. I'm just no way. Heineken's are 13. Yeah, I think you can get a hot dog for $3. By the way, they say you can get a beer for $6 at Yankee Stadium. I don't believe it either. Now, I haven't been in a while. I haven't been in over a handful of years, so I could be off base here. But that's what they say. By the way, most expensive beers, Mets, $12 for the Mets, which is interesting because tickets are like less than 30. That I can attest to. So, and
yeah, I mean, the Orioles apparently have you can get a $1.50 dog at an Orioles game.
Yeah, and however, they have the 4th most expensive beers at $10 a beer. Rays, by the way, 5th most affordable. Family of 4 go to a Rays game, $157. They say you buy a ticket for $26, beer for $5, soda for $5, hot dog for $6. They've got it listed at $12.88 for parking. I find that fascinating. So anyway, or $12.50, I think it is. $157 for a family of 4 to go to a Rays game.
Well, I'm all in to challenge this. We can take in a Marlins game and a Rays game to see if these prices are accurate. We got about a month before you start traveling.
So it's $21 less to go to a Marlins game for a family of 4 than it is to go to a Rays game. If you were to combine, you take your family of 4 to a Marlins game and to a Rays game, Yankees, Cubs, and Red Sox games are more for a family of 4 than both of those experiences combined.
Well, you'd have to take both of those experiences and double them to get to the average attendance of any of those other teams we're talking about.
Well, that is true. You would be shocked when you show up at Yankee Stadium and go, wow, there's people at a baseball game. Although none of them sit behind home plate.
Everywhere else.
Right. Rest of the stadium, a lot of people. Lower level there, they charge way too much money. Nobody's buying them.
And I'm pretty sure at those games, you actually have to sit where your ticket is.
Yes, they do not let you move down
right
at Yankee Stadium.
Right. As opposed to Marlins.
Which is remarkable, and that's why those seats are empty. They are like, no, you need to pay, in some cases, thousands of dollars per seat to sit at these games, and they will not let you move down. They won't let you move down to the 5th or 7th innings either.
My old man was famous at Tiger Stadium for getting, bad seats, and all of a sudden Fred would go take a walk. He'd say, "Stay here with your mom," or he'd look at my mother and say, "I'll be back in a minute." Fred go for a smoke,
pay off an usher,
and look at us and go, give that 2-finger wave and say, "Come on."
There you go.
And then we'd go down to box seats and sit there for the rest of the usher'd be wiping off the seats for you.
I love that.
Yeah, it's just a leisurely stroll at Marlins Park.
But you had to pay somebody off at Old Tiger Stadium to get those seats. The ushers were good about not letting you in unless they got some cash.
So what is interesting in the same city, Cubs are 2nd. White Sox are, I think, 9th. Like, it's $100 less for a family of 4 to go to a White Sox game than a Cubs game. The Yankees are 3rd. The Mets are 13th. Dodgers are 6th. And the Angels are like 18th. So, the 3 cities where they have 2 teams, it is interesting the disparity from the A-list team to the B-list team.
And the Angels have good attendance. They're averaging almost 32,000 a game. The White Sox are averaging 24,000 a game, where the Cubs are averaging 33,000 a game.
So, just some numbers. I mean, I would dispute some of the, beer and parking prices.
We need to go on an R&D mission. We'll start here in the state of Florida, and we'll work our way up.
By the way, they say you could park, cheapest parking in Major League Baseball, they say you can park for $9.30 at an Astros game. Say you can park for $26 at Yankee Stadium. I am calling BS to the nth degree. I challenge anybody to park their car for less than $40 in the Bronx.
And come back with a car.
No. That's a little misnomer. If you're parking your car, you will get it back. But I challenge anybody to go to a Yankee game and in and around the stadium, not 3 blocks away. You got to be able to at least see the place. You park your car for less than $40. I dare you. I challenge you. But just thought I'd throw that out there.
Is the D train still right outside of Yankee Stadium?
I forget what train it is. Okay. If it was the D train, it's still the D train because they only built the thing catty corner from where the old place was. So Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Just 11 days till the trading deadline in baseball. And I think
it's going to be a really active deadline because there's so many have-nots. There's such a disparity between what's good and what's not good. All the have-nots are going to be trying to ship guys off, a part here and a part there, and everybody's taken. So I think we're going to have an incredibly active deadline. I think it will start much sooner. I could anticipate trade starting, as early as Monday.
The one thing the sport has done, though, to these franchises this year, they've compressed the schedule. We just had the All-Star game, and right before the All-Star game, they had the draft. You have to sign the guys you drafted before the trading deadline, which is only less than 3 weeks from the All-Star game.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, FLGolfCarts.com. FLGolfCarts.com.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Raheem Mostert is fast. Really fast. How do you eat a flat?
What?
How do you eat a flat? Like what is the process? What do you do?
Stick it in your mouth and suck all the meat off of it.
But do you just
Yes.
like there's not a technique? Like
Well, you can press down and it breaks off the one bone.
Yeah.
There's not. Look at the two of us. We don't technique. We gobble.
You just indulge.
So
Yes.
you're certainly.
Go
that's
for
why
it.
I didn't chime in. I mean, technique to eating.
You just go for it.
I'm gonna make some wings this weekend. That sounds good.
Oh,
Wow.
that's
Got a
good
couple
call.
of frozen packages in there. That might be that might be something this weekend.
It's the best place to get bone-in wings around here.
I think Rusty's.
Right here, yeah. We've talked about it before. They got some good wings.
They've got great wings.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like the Wicked Wings place on Alico right by
yeah, but it's
you know where that is, right?
no, yeah, it's
by
like Wells
Wally's.
Fargo. Yeah.
Their wings are huge. They're ginormous. They're the biggest wings I've ever had in my life. They're actually, to me, too big.
Wow.
And then buffalo chips in Bonita Springs.
Ooh, buffalo chips. I've never heard of that. Might have to go there.
Fat Cats is unbelievable. Dad, I mean, Fat Cats he does a great job.
Dude, I am waiting for the one in University Village to open. I mean, I'm moving out now, so it's not as meaningful.
Where are you moving? Do you have a place yet?
Yeah, Murano on Three Oaks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just another apartment, huh?
Mm-hmm. We wanted to get a house, but things got complicated, so we settled.
What is it? Just two of you or three of you?
It's me and two other guys.
So you got a 3-bedroom?
Yeah.
Do you mind me asking what's the total cost of a 3-bedroom these days?
$2,600.
Holy cow!
Yeah. Holy cow! Yes, Deepak, there he is, my man. Let me be your bartender.
Now, granted, you and I have been here for a while, but I was paying, so that's about $870.
Right.
I was paying between $800 and $850. I stayed in a 2-bedroom apartment the first 3 years we lived here.
Yeah,
with a lanai, 2-bedroom apartment within a complex with a pool. Started at $800 a month and was $850 when we moved.
Adam really going all out with that cooking. I see you'll survive a long time without your wife around. Manwich and hamburger helper, huh? Wow.
Man.
Nothing screams being 22 years old and in college quite like manwich sandwiches and hamburger helper.
What do you normally eat, by the way, when you're not a bachelor for the week? What's the normal?
Last night I got home from my movie at like 10:30, and I just decided to whip up like a delicious pasta, and it was amazing. And I ate it and went to sleep. It was great.
That's good to keep the weight off.
Well, I will say he might be at the age and state where he needs to.
No, he's not.
Put on a few pounds.
Or I need to put on pounds?
He doesn't need to put on any pounds.
No.
He's now going to get lazier and lazier.
I'm not going to get lazy?
You're going to get lazier and lazier.
I'm going to get lazier and lazier. I need to take advantage of my youth. Deepak, how does that sound? Radio producer by morning, bartender by night. I can't believe Kirby Smart is only 46.
Huh?
God, he's going to be coaching college football for a really long time, isn't he? College football.
All right, call Matt.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Just to quickly, wrap up last segment. Got a couple of texts. Apparently, cheapest parking spot that can be found around Yankee Stadium is $35. Apparently, there is one where I would lose the bet. And apparently the whole $3 sodas and, beers, hot dogs, apparently that's a real thing.
Yeah.
Huh.
I really didn't think they made it up.
I did. I thought they went when there was like, a bonus and Mighty Nooner or something like that. Matt Cannata is kind enough to join us. He is the founder and CEO for Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. Follow him on Twitter, Cannata PFN, Cannata PFN. Matt's David and Mark, how you been?
Hey, David, Mark, how you guys doing? Everything's great for me.
Well, that is fantastic. Are you ready? I mean, this is what, your last day off till mid-February or April or May?
I have 4 days of vacation, and then next week it is. I told all our staff. I told them yesterday during our all-staff, or 2 days ago during our all-staff meeting, I said, get ready because it's now and through the draft. We are fully locked and loaded.
And you guys do a terrific job. We love reading it. I want to ask you what we were talking about earlier, because I know you follow the whole league, but you follow the Dolphins. David proposed this question to me. If Tua, on a scale of 1 to 10, has an 8-year this year, how much are you paying him if you're the Dolphins this offseason with what's happened with Murray and quarterback signings? Because a lot of people in our Twitch chat go, well, what if he has a bad year? Well, that's easy. You get rid of him and you move on. If he has an 8 out of 10 this year with that receiving core and everything that's going on there, how much is Tua going to be worth a year from now?
Well, we just saw Kyler Murray sign that contract yesterday, right? So he's making, $46.1 million a year, and Deshaun Watson was making $46 million a year. And I think Kyler Murray's almost can be considered. He's better than Tua right now, but if Tua has let's say 8 out of 10 year, like you said, I think people can realistically and with a straight face pull him on the same level as a Kyler Murray. And the QB market is crazy. I was talking yesterday, and these QBs aren't worth. Well, it's not for me to say they're not worth as much money, but in terms of relative value, are they worth this much money? No, not really. But it's the market. It's the market for the QB position. It's how the league runs and functions. So it's something you have to pay these guys. And I would very imagine that Tua would be paid in that range that we are seeing a Kyler Murray get paid in if he has an 8 out of 10 year.
And no, he's not worth it, but we're just trying to make the point. That's the cost of doing business going forward. Now, remember, Murray's annual 46 and change doesn't start for a couple years. The Dolphins would do the same with Tua, where they'd pick up his 5th-year option. He'd play 2 more years under his rookie deal, but that's just what it is. Matt, there are quarterbacks, however, like Lamar, like a year from now, Russell Wilson. I mean, is the first digit going to be a 5, and is it going to start right away?
The QB market is always getting reset, right? Aaron Rodgers was once the highest paid NFL player in NFL history. And then before you know it, someone else signs a contract, Patrick Mahomes, right? And then it just keeps one-upping the next. Lamar Jackson, that's an interesting case that you bring up there because his mother is his agent, and they don't have any official representation. So I'm very curious to see how that deal shakes out. And it just seems a little weird that nothing has been worked out just yet. So we're keeping an eye on that. But you're right, Russell Wilson, right? He had a down year in Seattle, but if he leads the Broncos to the playoffs and deep into the playoffs, that's going to be a big contract that they're going to sign him to. And it's just the cost of doing business. You have to budget for it. If you're an NFL team, you have to realize that if you have a good QB, even if he's just good, right, not great, not franchise level, you're paying him a lot of money because you can't afford to let him go in free agency, because then what? Like, there's no guarantee, and we've seen it with number 1 overall picks. We've seen it with top 10 picks, top 5 picks. Look at Josh Rosen, who's now going to the Cleveland Browns, right? He's been on 5-6 different teams. He was, I think, a top 10, top 12 pick. And, he's barely surviving now. So there's no guarantee that any QB is going to work out. So again, it costs a lot of money, but you can't afford to let them go.
Matt, just a quick follow-up from me before we move on. Do you think there is a team that is going to do the Kirk Cousins treatment that Washington did, where they just look at their guy and they go, hey, don't get me wrong, you're good, we like you, and we'll franchise tag you twice, but then we're going to let you walk, if you know what I mean. I mean, some are making the case, should the Ravens do that with Lamar? This is the final year of his rookie deal. You go tag. He'll make a lot of money. I mean, he might make $90 million in 23 and 24, but then you can walk away if by then he's closer to 30 and he's banged up and what have you. Do you think that there's a team that will do that, or will no one be that risky?
I think look around the league, right? Like what backup QB around the league can step in and be that guy? Even if you look at, one of the top 5 QBs, you're looking at probably Tyler Heineke with the Commanders, right? So we know the issue with Wentz. Can he survive a whole season? Can he even play well a whole season? We don't know, but that's not kind of the same thing. Minshew with the Eagles. You got Hurts, who's still proving himself. Bridgewater with the Dolphins. Foles with the Colts. Dalton with the Saints. Brissett with the Browns. So that's a whole other issue. I just don't know if something is out there. I guess maybe the closest thing you could look at is Tyrod Taylor with the New York Giants, right? If Daniel Jones, they're still evaluating him. And if you're signing him to a second contract, even if he's just decent and just good, you're still paying him a ton of money. Obviously, he's not going to be on a level unless he has an outstanding season and has like a 10 out of 10 year. But I don't know if there's a team out there right now that is in position to even consider that. But I would say that the Giants would probably maybe make the most sense there.
All right. Jimmy G got permission to seek a trade. Who's going to trade for him? And we've kind of gone through the teams. Seattle seems to be a spot. Atlanta, there's a couple others. Charlotte would have been, or Carolina would have been a spot if they didn't get Baker. Where do you see Jimmy G going at the end of the day?
Yeah, Seattle makes a ton of sense, obviously, right? And we reported on ProFootballNetwork.com the other day that Seahawks head coach Pete Carroll, sources have told us that he would be tempted to pursue Garoppolo, especially if he's not happy with the way Geno Smith and Drew Lock are performing during training camp. And at this point, it's a matter of when, not if. Here's another thing to keep your eye on is the Cleveland Browns. They are considered a dark horse in this all, and we know, based on what we've been told, that they have had conversations about trading for Garoppolo. Now, we don't know how serious those conversations are. We don't know how deep they are in those talks, but we do know they've had at least preliminary conversations as the Browns brace for a suspension for Deshaun Watson. We saw them sign Josh Rosen, which I mentioned a little while ago. They have Jacoby Brissett as a backup, but they're going to need a quality backup to whoever's backing up Brissett. So keep an eye out on the Browns for that as well. And then there might be an injury during training camp. Think back to when the Dolphins lost Ryan Tannehill, and he was coming off, a very good season and was looking forward to that next year under Adam Gase, and he tore his ACL or his Achilles, I forget what it was. But it could be a situation like that, God forbid, right? A QB goes down during training camp, and they're a team that is in playoff mode, win now mode, and they need a QB to lead them through the season, and you might see something there.
Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, ProFootballNetwork.com. Follow him on Twitter at CannataPFN, CannataPFN. Hey, which team do you think had the best offseason? I think it's the Chiefs. Or excuse me, I think it's the Eagles.
The Eagles really stepped up to the plate with some defensive additions and the way they want to move that defense around. They have a lot of chess pieces now. I don't disagree with you that they had a very, very good offseason. I think you have to look at the Dolphins, right, as well. They signed Teron Armstead to protect the left side of the line. They have Tyreek Hill, right? We talked about Tua earlier in the segment, and there are no excuses for him anymore about his performance, about, the people around him, unless, of course, injuries happen. But he has Tyreek Hill now. He has Jalen Waddle. He has Mike Gesicki still. And I think you have to look at that. I think if you look elsewhere around the league, the Raiders, obviously they beefed up with Devontae Adams. They have Derek Carr locked up. And it's always not necessarily just looking at who they brought in, but it's about what they're doing internally with their team, Josh McDaniels, and so forth. The Raiders are a very, very interesting team to watch. But I don't disagree with your assessment. I think it's a very fair point when you say that the Eagles had one of the best off seasons in the NFL.
Who's the good team Who's the good team that's going to take a step back? Pittsburgh's an obvious choice, obviously, with Ben gone, but there's got to be some others. We wonder about where the Chiefs are with their offseason and how good that division is. Who's a team you think that takes a step back this year?
I think it's the Bengals. And I think it's because when you look at how they got to the Super Bowl, I think you could make a very fair argument that they shouldn't have been there in the first place, right? They sometimes it's a lot about being in the right place at the right time, and I think that was a case for the Bengals. And maybe they're not regressing so much so in terms of actual realistic production, but in terms of looking at them as a Super Bowl team last year, as someone who lost to the Rams, but being in the game. And then maybe they make the playoffs this year, but they get booted in the first round or the second round. I think the Bengals are, when we talk about perception and the talk around the league, I think that's the team you need to watch on for regression there.
I know the Bengals feel as if they're a better team this year than last, but as you pointed out, Matt, they were a 10-7 team that won their division a year ago. The playoff run was more impressive than really the regular season performance. So which Bengals are we going to get this year? We're going to get playoff Bengals, or are we going to get regular season Bengals? Regular season Bengals is, in fact, beatable. Are we right in to be concerned about the Chiefs? I mean, when you had Hill and Kelsey, one of those two would get open every play. I mean, they would. You could not, especially they put them on the same side of the field. One cleared out for the other. It didn't matter how you defended them. One of those guys got open. Now Kelsey's going to get double teamed on every play. I mean, Schuster, Valdez-Scantling, neither one of these guys are a 1. I don't even know if Valdez-Scantling's a 2. I mean, do we have reason to be concerned about the Chiefs?
Yeah, I think so. I think Patrick Mahomes is good enough to keep them in every game and to make them competitive. Valdez-Scantling, I don't think so either. I think he's more like a wide receiver 4 in terms of snap counts. Remember, the only people in the NFL who had more catches than Tyreek Hill last year were Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams. And so he had 159 targets in the Chiefs offense, and those need to go somewhere. They can't all go to Kelsey. It can't all go to, Juju Smith-Schuster, who they brought in. You mentioned Valdez-Scantling, right? Neither of those are really wide receiver 1. And so over the past 4 years, Hill brought in just over 4,800 yards receiving. Kelsey has gained just over 5,000 yards. He'll continue to be their top target, but at the end of the day, he's a tight end, right? He's not going to be a guy who stretches the field like Tyreek Hill did. And Tyreek Hill's average depth of target went from 14.8 in 2018 to 10.4 in 2021. And so you also have Mecole Hardman there. He caught 59 passes a year, going on 83 targets. He might approach 100 in 2022. But I think the Chiefs, wide receiver corps, especially if you get an injury or two, that's going to be a tough offense to watch. And we're going to have to see Andy Reid possibly adjust on the fly where, you have a QB like Mahomes, but the talent around him is just at a point where you need to rely more on your running game, on a Clyde Edwards-Helaire and others in that offense to make up for that. But I would be very surprised. And Andy Reid should be considered for Coach of the Year if they are able to produce in that offense like they have in the past, even without Tyreek Hill.
Good luck getting Andy Reid to run the ball all the time. Matt, we all know it, but you're absolutely spot on. Hey, Tampa, Are they better, worse, the same than they were last year? No AB and no Gronk to start. They added Kyle Rudolph. They lost both their guards. I mean, I look at the Bucs, and I don't see them as being as good as they were a year ago. Do you?
The wild card is Todd Bowles, right? Todd Bowles went 24-40 as the Jets head coach. He went 2-1 as the Dolphins interim head coach. That's just a very small sample size, though. But are we going to see the Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator Todd Bowles, or are we going to see the Todd Bowles as the head coach of the New York Jets? Obviously, it's a whole lot different with Tom Brady under center, but we have seen with Tom's time with the Patriots, and when he does not have the supporting cast around him, that he struggles, right? He's I dare say it, kind of like almost other QBs around the league where they don't have the help that they need. The defense is still good, right? They did lose Ndamukong Suh. They didn't re-sign him, but they've made some gains in that area. And we know Todd Bowles' strategy and his expertise is on the defensive side of the ball. On the offensive side, yeah, I mean, Chris Godwin, who knows when he will return, right? He had that injury last year, tore his ACL, and we don't know when he's going to return. You still have Mike Evans. And so it's going to be different, right? Bruce Arians was the offensive-minded coach. Obviously, he gave a lot of latitude to Byron Leftwich. It's hard to say because Tom Brady's there, and you never count out Tom Brady. But I think the Buccaneers are just going to be, another team competing for the NFC South title and making a deep playoff run. I don't think we can realistically consider them Super Bowl contenders at this time.
Even though I believe they have like top 3 betting odds are the Tampa Bay Bucks to get to and win the Super Bowl. Matt, enjoy your last weekend off for 10 months, and we will talk to you midway during training camps.
All right, guys. Always love talking to you guys.
Matt Cannata, Pro Football Network, profootballnetwork.com. Follow him on Twitter at Cannata PFN. Auto Parts and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled, marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local.
Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
%, beast mode. It's all from the new TV deals. Just think of it in terms of this Sunday ticket. There's apparently a snag. At least Pro Football is reporting there's talks not going well with a question mark, but they're going to minimum double. They're talking $3 billion a year from $1 billion just for that deal.
Mello, why would the owners of the Sixers come out publicly and say what they said if they don't want it to happen? It would make them look bad. Not only that, it would be awful PR in Philadelphia. So you get people in Philadelphia's hopes up, or you tell them this is what you're going to do, but then you decide, wait a minute, we're going to actually go across the bridge to Camden. Camden?
Was the Spectrum where the Wachovia Center is now?
Yeah.
Or Wells Fargo?
Yeah.
Wachovia.
I like that ape is rambunctious.
Yes.
What's more iconic, the Forum or the Spectrum?
Well, since it's not the Spectrum anymore, the Forum.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It's the bonus hour, Friday edition, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. If you just missed our last segment, Matt Cannata, profootballnetwork.com, joining us. We bothered him while he's enjoying his last days of vacation. Spending time with family. I believe he's in the Tampa area when we bothered them. But we just wanted to give a little taste, with folks showing up for work, Mark. And by Tuesday, everybody's shown up everywhere. Can I give you where teams are? Just a little money. Because there's still some guys out there, and some guys may still get traded, and some guys are going to get cut. And
Gotcha.
You're going to hear, well, they're cut for cap reasons. Not quite sure why I added the accent there, but
I'm not either, but
I just felt like it.
Sometimes when you're going to a story, you want to bring a third voice to the show, and I have learned at this point in our tenure just to allow it and move on.
So you want to go most space or least space first?
Well, most is Cleveland, right?
Oh, yeah. And
by a large margin.
Yes, more than double the team with the second most space. Because remember, they saved about $5-6 million with the Baker thing. The Carolinas actually picking up $5-6 million of the tab. The Cleveland Browns have $48 million in cap room right now. That's almost a quarter. I mean, the cap's 208.2.
And they're considered to have a upper echelon roster.
Right. Top 10 roster in the league. They've spent $160 million against the cap for it. Because you got to remember, Deshaun Watson, his salary this year is $1 million.
Now counts more against the cap because the signing bonus goes in, but
it's prorated out. The $45 million signings prorated out over 5 years, so that's only not. I mean, I think Deshaun's costing them $10 million this year,
right,
against the cap. Crazy, but Browns have $48 million. Cowboys are second with 22. If you're a Cowboys fan, I think your roster got just a smidge worse this year from where it was when the season ended. You got $22 million. You sure you can't sign an Ndamukong Suh? You sure there's somebody out there, another offensive lineman? Something? Panthers, over $20 million. And they're expected to be bad again. The Bears have $18 million.
And I don't expect the Panthers or Bears to do a whole hell of a lot.
But you got to be a little frustrated if you're a Bears fan. Our roster sucks this badly, and you're still leaving money on the table. I mean, who are you going to spend that on? It's not like we got a whole lot of good guys on the team to lock up long term. Green Bay still is $17 million. And they got to be all in, right?
They are all in, but when you lose a Devontae Adams, that's the most. That's that money right there.
I mean, do you sign an Odell Beckham? Remember, it's all about winning a Super Bowl.
Exactly.
Do you sign Odell?
You and I both would. Twofold. One, I'm keeping him away from the Rams. Two, I need him.
And if I only get him for the Final Four,
who gives a damn?
If I only get him for January and February, I'm good with that. Just a thought. The Raiders still have over $16 million. They have the sixth most cap room. Seattle's got just under $16 million. Minnesota's got over $15.5 million. The Bengals have $15 million. And the Steelers have $14 million. So the Steelers have the 10th most cap room in the league right now at $14 million. To give you an example, the Jets at 23 have $9 million. So between 11 and 22 on the salary cap range, only $5 million, $14 million to $9 million. So to give you an idea of where the league is living, if you know what I mean.
Right.
I mean, the middle of the league, if you will, is living between 8 and 14 million in cap space.
Gotcha.
Left. The Ravens can barely let people show up and watch training camp practices. They have $732,000 apparently against the cap. So you can see why whatever they do with Lamar is going to be an extension. It ain't going to count this year. Either that or some veterans are getting cut here soon. The Patriots have $1.25 million left. That's it.
With a roster that most of us don't think's that good.
Yeah, and that's after losing J.C. Jackson a year after trading Stephon Gilmore, who, by the way, got like 2 of the 6 highest rated Madden grades. I Think about that. You're a Patriots fan. 2 years ago, those were your starting corners. Now they're regarded as two of the 6 best in the league, and you don't have either one. That's a bummer. The Niners, third least amount of room left. They're 30th with $4.4 million. But if they get rid of Garoppolo, first off, if they cut him, they gain like $24 million. If they trade him and they do some sort of deal like Cleveland, pick up a third, pick up a half, subtract out of the 24.
But we don't think they're signing any new players with that money. That might just be used to start paying some players now.
Right. They got Bosa and they got Debo, who are in the final years, and obviously you can only tag one. So if they don't sign one of them to an extension and maybe give them a little bit more money for this year to make them happy, which would probably be Debo, since he was not the first round pick. And, Joey's, Bosa's making some money this year. So there you have it. They're third most amount of cap room.
Where are the Bucks and the Dolphins?
They're in the middle. They're living in between 9 and 14 million. Okay. Giants, by the way, fourth least amount of room left. They got about 5 million.
Well,
Bills,
with a roster like that, you can expect them to spend the way they have.
Right. It's another.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
I mean, the fact that the Bears, the Bears have a lot of room, but the fact that you've got teams at the no room list that have bad rosters.
Yeah. Think about this. If you're a fan of the Giants, you have the fourth least amount of cap room left. Oh, great. Because we're probably drafting in the top 4 this year. You're the Texans. You have the 7th least amount of room. The Jaguars have the 8th least amount of room. And the Jets have the 10th, by the way. So 4 of the worst teams in the league are in the bottom 10 in terms of cap room. Once again, showing there's a reason why they're bad. They've been run badly. They've handed out bad contracts. But, the Ravens, who I think are a contender, I don't know if they're a Super Bowl contender, but you got to consider the Ravens a playoff team, right?
Yeah, and I get the AFC stacked. We do have to remember the Cincinnati Bengals went to the Super Bowl last year.
Right. As a 4 seed also.
Right.
10-win team.
Get in the tournament.
Right. In the Ravens division, obviously. But the Bills with 5 million left. So pretty much, unless they do something drastic, what they bring to the table is what they got, and keep that in mind in case someone gets hurt.
Yeah, that money, $5 million, that's replacing an injured player more than anything else.
Rams have 7 million. Eagles have 9 million. So it is interesting, Cowboys and Eagles, there's a $14 million difference in this year's cap between the two. In case somebody gets hurt, somebody needs to make a move, and what have you. Cowboys have 22 million to play with right now. Eagles have 8. Could that be the difference? We don't normally think of football as the sport with a deal, but we have seen lately teams are making more deals and willing to trade impactful players. So just wanted to, this season's about to start. There's still a few guys out there. Those are the teams that have money. Those are the teams that don't. Obviously, you can move things around, but teams clearly on July 21st, 22nd are not thinking about moving things around. They're thinking this is what we got.
21,000 is the text number. FSN Radio is the keyword if you've never done so before. Our poll question's up. We're having a little fun today. It's National Mango Day, so we're merely asking you what your favorite fruit is. Mango didn't make our top 4. Right now, banana is leading. Moulton's choice has 31% of the vote. Apple is second. Grapes are third, and orange is last. Tight voting throughout.
David, in the second hour, you mentioned, if Tua plays well, the Dolphins are going to have to pay him. That's kind of something that might end up affecting the Dolphins in the future in terms of the cap space.
Well, and also think like the Dolphins are living in the middle. They're going to have a Gesicki question at the end of this year.
Yeah, that too.
And if Tua plays pretty well, I said on a scale of 1 to 10, let's say he plays like an 8. A lot of people think that's a little too high. Okay, fine. He plays like a 7. Well, if he plays like a 7, they're probably going to do well. Who's going to be part of that 7? Probably Mike Gesicki. So now this year he's making almost $11 million, though. Do you think Mike Gesicki, because Gesicki, how players work, they're like, well, good, that's my AAV going forward. In fact, I might want a little something extra long term.
If you get franchised and you outplay your tag,
right,
you're making more than the franchise was worth, more than likely.
Right. And the tight end franchise tag is a shade, like $5,000 under 11. So, going forward, Gesicki's going to want minimum 4 years, going to want 3 of them guaranteed. And are you, if you're the Dolphins, you prepared to offer him 4 for 50, guaranteeing 40 of it? Because that's probably minimum of what it's going to take to keep Mike Gesicki going forward if you guys play pretty well this year.
And you just signed, Hill's got the deal.
Right.
Waddle's still on a rookie deal. So these are the questions that are coming for the Dolphins.
And they got, 2 first-round picks next year? Also the Dolphins, so they're going to have some money left aside. Now the cap, fortunately, is going to go up probably 30 or more million next year. Tua will be playing on still a rookie deal. Got a text from a Jags fan in the Twitch chat room who was like, great, wow, Jags have less than $8 million available. An awful record, and the quarterback's on a rookie deal, and they only have $8 million, to give you an idea of how badly they've been run.
And it also, but the other side of that, when you're a bad franchise, what do you have to do to get players to come play for you? You have to overpay. And the Jags had to do that. They paid Kirk ridiculous money to come over and be a 1, and he's not a 1. We're not sure if he's a 2.
Right. He will be in Jacksonville.
Well, yeah.
But you're right.
But with all that being said, it's a win now mentality for the Dolphins.
Well, it's a win now mentality for
the league.
That's 25 teams in the league. It just is. The organization is swimming in so much money, they will fire coaches more quickly because they can afford to pay them off. Unless you're Mike Brown, he's cheap.
Miller and Moulton still looking to get paid off on the Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost clubhead speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex and the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
You were listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. You know me, I look for not only good airport restaurants everywhere, but in airports. So I sent Eve a quick article and said, hey, Best food at Baltimore Airport. This place looks good. Now I'm getting menu pictures and food items. She's having chicken and waffles right now. That's not really fair. So apparently this guy attacked a mayor candidate in New York with a knife. Lee Zeldin was attacked by David, whoever it was, and they let him out right away. So the headline.
You son of a bitch. God.
Belichick named all his coaches and didn't name an OC?
Or a DC, I don't believe.
Yeah, not either one.
Now.
Yeah.
I have to admit, I would not have thought she's underage.
I got you.
I mean, don't get me right. But I'm just saying, I would have thought.
I got you.
I would have thought 19 to 23.
Yeah, but that's the pitcher.
Yeah. I know.
You've seen all those 14-year-olds made up to look older, you know.
Mm-hmm.
.40 marker, I am all for all automated systems in all sports.
Robo strike zones.
Hey, look, at anybody in this Twitch chat room wins the lotto, all we ask of you is to sponsor this show for the next 2 years.
6:30.
We'll put a fair price on it. I'll be doing the pricing, not Moulton. I know you're reading something, but it sunk through. It took a second for that one to get there.
I thought about it and said, well, he's got a dead good point.
Yes.
Coming back.
Whichever segment you want.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
21 minutes past the hour, Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. Thanks so much for being with us. Poll question. It's National Mango Day or International Mango Day, whatever. So we were just thinking mango, fruit, How about we ask people what's their favorite fruit? We went with the 4 staples: apple, orange, banana, grape.
Tight voting, David. Tight voting.
At Mark Miller, the David Moulton on Twitter, FloridaSportsNetwork.com. Vote. It'll be up for the weekend, right?
We got yelled at, didn't we, for not putting watermelon on the list, having Ross Chastain on the show as many times as we've had.
I will say, it's a dadgum good point.
It really is.
It also is July, like the peak season to eat watermelon.
It is big watermelon month. All right. But, we just think it would make the second poll question. There's Power 5, there's Group of 5. That's all. We think close, strawberry, watermelon, they would be Group of 5. It's kind of like those golf tournaments that always try to claim they're the 5th major. The Canadian Open for a while back in the day wanted to be the 5th major. The players had wanted to be the 5th major. I mean, you have to just pull them aside and go, listen, I appreciate the effort, but no. You want 5 majors, go join the LPGA Tour. They don't know how to count to 4.
Only place we really had 5 was conferences, and now that's done too.
Yeah, and if it's not, it will be soon. Did you hear what Deion had to say yesterday? It was SWAC Media Day yesterday. He was asked a few questions.
Okay.
One of which, and I'm all for him on this, I don't know how many people will care, but they're playing, I think it's Bethune this year. The games where the Jags play. And Deion's like, why the hell are we doing this? He goes, how many people normally go to Bethune-Cookman games? And whoever was asking the question was like, well, normally not that many. Right. So we're going to hold this in an NFL stadium? He goes, it's not going to look good. He said, why are we doing this? He said, it's much better to have a full house.
Totally.
3,000, 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, 20,000, whatever it is. He goes, players want to play in front of, an exciting atmosphere. And besides, if it's our turn to play them, why wouldn't they want us at home? He's like, I don't get this. Why are we doing this?
Could not agree with him more.
Yeah.
Nothing looks worse than in that case, will be a probably 80% empty stadium.
Now, and we've talked about this before in a sense, sometimes high schools, they decide, hey, we're going to have the championships in the big arenas, the big stadiums. And I guess, you get the couple of big city schools and they travel, 10,000 people each. And all of a sudden you're in a 70,000 seat stadium and maybe you can get 25,000 people in it. But
that's really, my experience, that's the opposite of what happens. Where you get the 10,000 from is the little town in which the whole town goes. The big cities don't have that type of following. Every once in a while, there'll be a special player that teams will get behind. But, I remember having gone to a high school that was good in sports. The further we would go in tournaments, the worse the atmosphere was because you lost the intimacy of the small venue. And all of a sudden you're at a big place. It's not the same.
When I was in high school, in the early days of what was then Giants Stadium, they're like, hey, why don't we hold the New Jersey football championships here? And it looked awful having 10,000 people in a 75,000 seat stadium. And by the mid 80s, they were like, yeah, play them at home. Whoever gets the host, whatever. Minnesota, when I was covering sports there, the semifinals and finals would be at the Metrodome. And you got Hawley, Minnesota, population 6,170. I mean, literally, if the whole town shows up, it's still a bad look. So I agree with Deion on that. He was asked, by the way, hey, you're friends with Nick and, blah, blah, blah. Would you play Alabama? And he said, yeah, but not yet. He goes, I need one more year, maybe 2. He goes, then yes. He goes, then at least, I don't feel as if I'm putting my kids in jeopardy and, getting hurt and this, that, and the other thing. He goes, but give me at least one more year. He said, but I do feel as if we in the HBCU community, we got a little momentum right now. We got a little something going on.
Good, because, real sports, it wasn't more than in the last decade, real sports did a story on those schools and the guarantee games and the injury rates at which those guarantee games cost the athlete for those schools. I mean, it was awful.
The one thing that Deion was asked, though, a few days ago, he was asked, and it was on SportsCenter, he was asked about the future of the HBCUs. and he said, I wonder how close we are to joining conferences, regular conferences, if you will. And Dion goes, I know we've talked about it here. And, we have talked in the past about the financial realities of college sports. And we understand that Florida, Miami, and Florida State are, not part of this discussion. And we understand that UCF and South Florida don't want to be part of this discussion. All right. Well, you got 4 ASUN schools. You got FAU, FIU. All right. And you got Bethune and FAMU. I mean, in theory, those 8 Division I schools in every sport not named football, couldn't they be a conference?
It's the one thing you and I have thought about if the football ever does its own thing.
Right. Which is far closer than it was when we...
Would the other sports have to, or other schools have to form almost separate conferences for, like you just said, everything not named football?
Right. I mean, because you have 15 to 20 other sports that you play. Now, you got the FAUs and the FIUs that think that they're above it. And then you've got Bethune and FAMU who are like, I don't know if financially we could spend that kind of money on athletics. We don't spend that kind of money now. So you got and then the ASUN schools would obviously be for it. I mean, of course they would. Save on travel, it'd cut their expenses in half. None of them play football at a high level. I mean, of course they'd be for it. But just some of what's out there. Deion Sanders, a couple of things he's talked about in the last week. Just keep an eye out for it.
We've got the poll question up. Text line open as well at 21,000 FSN radio. The keyword, our poll question, fruit-oriented today. Banana leading the category. Go to that, Mark Miller, the David Moulton, FLSportsNetwork.com. If you missed any of the show, you can download the show at Florida Sports Network or any of the spots that you download your podcast. Today, Matt Cannata and Ryan Spaeder on the show.
Pat Narduzzi at ACC Media Days yesterday, he spoke up, kind of stuck his chest out. They are the defending ACC champs. And he's like, we're not getting the respect as a conference for the football that we play. And so somebody brought up about, well, how do you think you do in the Big Ten? And his answer was, I think we could win it every year. Which then, of course, got people snickering and all that. But then, whatever your favorite ACC team is, whether you're Canes, Knowles, or you're somebody else, just kind of, ask yourself, where do you think your team would fall in and amongst the Big Ten? Like this Pitt fan very quickly, Mark, said, teams that I think that Pitt would year in, year out lose to. Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan State, he said. So there are 6 right there that he said, yeah, if we were in the Big Ten, those 6 teams would beat us every year. Oh, okay.
I think it's interesting because last year the ACC graded out as worse than the Mountain West as a conference. And for Narduzzi to say that, that's
obviously
interesting.
He's sticking up for it, and he's like, I don't believe it. That's bunk.
Well, he doesn't believe it because he's coaching that conference.
Right.
If it were all the end-all be-all to stay there, his receiver might have stuck around and not left for USC the first chance he had an opportunity to take off.
Of course, it'll be something if however many years down the road the ACC breaks up and where it is that Pitt will end up. They likely will end up in the Big Ten. Then we'll get a chance to test this theory out, won't we? Hey, you said a few years ago you think you can win this conference every year.
I think that's poking at Penn State than anything else. I think that's just someone knowing his audience and poking the Penn State bear or in this case, lion, just a little bit.
Oh, I see what you did there. That was nice. Well done. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day one. Final thoughts all coming up. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's Power Strap Kit. Featuring band attachments to your feet and hips, Power Strap resistance training will boost club head speed, increase power, improve flexibility, all with just a few swings. Buy a Power Strap Kit today. Go to orangewhipgolf.com and use code Miller10 to receive an additional 10% off the already great price of $119.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Mark Miller for SWFL Golf Carts, or online, flgolfcarts.com. If you're looking for a golf cart, an e-bike, or an e-motorcycle, go visit Alex in the gang at SWFL Golf Carts. flgolfcarts.com online. Check out their whole inventory. If you're looking for a custom cart, they can take care of you. 2-seater, 4-seater, 6-seater, they've got you covered. E-bikes, nobody better for value and service. E-motorcycles, check them out. Again, flgolfcarts.com. flgolfcarts.com.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Jeremy Fowler takes the Niners.
Hey, Deepak, I'm not joking. You can hire Philly, but if you have a bartending job, I'll take a shift right now. Think I'm kidding? I don't make any money doing this. I'm going broke.
The thing is, I would love to see you as a bartender.
I've done it before.
Oh, that's right. You told me. Probably great.
Bartended, wait tables. The only thing I've not done in a restaurant has been a line cook. I've been a dishwasher.
The only time I was a cook, it was a burger and hot dog joint, and literally that's all they serve. So that I can do.
That
the thing
had the grill and just
it didn't have a grill, even had the flat thing.
The flat top, yeah, the griddle, yeah.
Well, when I think grill, I think that was it. Just that was
flipping
constantly
and cheese, no cheese.
Yeah, totally.
So Debo is staying with the Niners.
Well, he's under contract. Okay, I mean, and they're not going to trade him.
They had the same question yesterday with 4 different people, for the record. They did the same thing yesterday.
Well, doesn't somebody have to pick the Packers here?
I was going to say Ryan Smith will pick the Packers.
And it seems pretty scripted. If it.
Oh!
Wow, look at that. 4 people, none of them picked Green Bay.
And I'm surprised no one had to pick Dallas. It is ESPN after all.
Yeah.
But anyways, you have Debo under contract. I know you drafted Trey Lance, but why not just keep Jimmy?
Well, but when you make the decision to draft Trey Lance, you've made the decision to move on from Garoppolo. So they made that decision over a year ago.
But Trey Lance might not be the truth.
But they decided he was. And when they made that decision, they said to Jimmy G, you're out of here. No more than 2 years, maybe 1.
Who was it that we said Jimmy G or someone yesterday, and it was really close.
Arch, we did not see it. I mean, they are experimenting with it in the minors.
Got a great birthday for you today, David. It's the last one. You'll be really excited.
Good.
A lot of birthdays today. Not a lot of things. A lot of birthdays.
Okay.
And my favorite stat in all of today was the day when comes today.
Oh.
Wow.
No, it's not. It's one for Moulton and I. That's it. Well, everybody left. You guys don't like these last two segments. The whole Twitch audience just bailed. No, I didn't, Arch.
Oh, wait.
Thanks, Axe. How are you, buddy?
I lived for the last two segments.
It's much better to face these kinds of things with a sense of.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
Home stretch, Miller and Moulton on this Friday. Thanks for being with us. Florida Sports Network, floridasportsnetwork.com. You ready?
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
We can get right after it if you want to.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Let her rip.
It's time for someone to take back this segment, if for no other reason than to stop David from talking about Meghan and Harry. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
Don't know why you want me to stop talking about him.
I was just reading about her. Apparently, she was enamored with Rory McIlroy.
Well, I mean, you know, he's a good-looking guy.
Really?
I think Rory's yeah. He's in good shape. Good-looking
He's
guy.
in good shape.
Yeah. Decent, above average looks.
Really?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Good for him.
By the way, apparently Camilla was the one that made the comment
about
the baby and
I saw
color
that.
and hair and what have you. Yeah. So, so of course, once that comes out, they have to diss her. Okay, so then, once that comes out, they have to dig up 3 stories about what a bad person she is. They have to kind of push that to the side of the 24/7 news thing.
We start in 1923 when Walter Johnson becomes the first to strike out 3,000 batters en route to 3,508. 1934, outside of theater in Chicago, public enemy number 1, John Dillinger, is gunned down by the FBI. 1962, Gary Player wins the PGA. 1963, Liston KOs Patterson for the second time at the Convention Center in Vegas. Love this one, David. Nice little stat for you, baseball stat here. In 67, the Braves established a Major League Baseball record for the number of pitchers called upon in one inning. They would use 5 in the 9th inning to defeat the St. Louis Cardinals.
Wow. They're in Atlanta then.
Yes.
They've left Milwaukee by then. Yeah.
84 at St. Andrews, Sevy wins the second of his 3 open titles.
I think 79, 84, 88.
1990, Nick Faldo wins the second of his 3, 5 ahead of Payne Stewart.
87, 90, 92 for Nick.
Same day that Faldo won that, Phil Mickelson wins the U.S. Amateur. This is one of my favorite stats that we do every year when we come to this segment. You love it, David. I love it. Today in 1997, Greg Maddux throws a complete game with just 76 pitches.
Just so great.
That is ridiculous.
So great. Not only that, the time of the games. I mean, Maddux had numerous complete games in 90 pitches or less under 2 hours. I mean, it's just awesome.
2001, David Duval wins his only major.
The Open Championship.
2012, Ernie wins his second British Open. And in 2018, Francesco Molinari holds off a group of players, including Rory, to win his major.
By the way, how about how quickly he has disappeared? I mean, 2018, he wins the Open. 2019, he's got the lead on the back nine of the Masters.
Right.
He's the one that's his Masters to lose, and he proceeds to lose it on the 12th. Put balls in the water. And then him and Fleetwood and the Ryder in 2019 go 5-0 and destroy the Americans. I mean, he's like one of the top 5 golfers in the world less than 3 years ago. And he's nothing now.
Absolutely. You're right. I mean, still top 50 player, I think, but
he doesn't contend in anything. He's as likely to miss the cut in a big tournament as he is to make it.
Those born today that are no longer with us: Rose Fitzgerald Kennedy, Bob Dole, Sonny Liston, Oscar De La Renta, the late Alex Trebek, and Brian Howe. Those that are still with us.
Wow, that's a good list.
Yeah, it really is. Those that are still with us: George Clinton, who you and I attended the concert of at the casino.
Can I guess?
Yeah.
80.
81. Same age as jockey Ron Turcotte. Sandy Lyle. Or Sparky Lyle, rather, not Sandy Lyle. Sparky Lyle, 77. Actor Danny Glover is 76. Albert Brooks and Don Henley are both 75 today. William Defoe is 67. Dave Steve is 65. Alvin Robinson is 60. Wrestler Shawn Michaels is 57. Tim Brown is 56. Sergei Zubov is 52. Keyshawn Johnson is 50. Scott Dixon, 42. Steven Jackson, 39. Selena Gomez, 30. Ezekiel Elliott is 27. And Prince George of Cambridge, David, is 9.
I like his future.
Number 3 in line to the throne.
I like his chances. I really do.
And that, David, is today was the day when
Dave Stieb threw back-to-back one-hitters in which he took the no-hitters into the 9th. One of them, I think, with 2 outs and one of them with 1. You know, Johnny Vandermeer is the only pitcher to ever throw back-to-back no-hitters. And, of course, when they say name a record that will never be broken, if you think about it, you'd have to throw 3 consecutive no-hitters to break that mark. But that is, and I know he never threw a no-hitter, but you could argue that that's one of the closest that anybody's ever come to matching it. Back-to-back starts, you take no-hitters into the 9th.
Into the 9th. He was so good.
Really was. Filthy. North of the border. Had that slider.
And that's the Tigers and Jays were going at one another. I watched him pitch a lot. He was a terrific pitcher.
He wasn't Jack Morris, but he was good.
He dueled Jack a lot.
Yeah, he did. They were both the number ones.
Yeah.
It was late 80s, 91. Yeah.
So I got something for you.
Okay.
Usually this is when I chime in with an NBA. Today was the day when I know the other day I said I wasn't going to give you one. I wasn't going to give you one for a while. Bubble started 2 years ago today. So, yeah, they're coming.
That's the NBA, right?
The NBA bubble, yes.
Oh, I thought he was talking about the Boy in the Bubble, the Travolta movie.
No.
I just love the fact that Felipe promised us 2 days ago he was going to go a long time without giving us an NBA. Today was the day when Memphis.
And by a long time.
2 days ago.
2 days is a long time. Yeah.
So he missed one show.
Right.
And then he just couldn't take it. So when you talk about willpower, all right, that's who you think of right over there.
Absolutely. And that leads us seamlessly to.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
I've got a dog. I've got Noah the dog. In the early hours of the 4th of July, Noah alerted his owner that something was happening. That's when Autumn Earl noticed her neighbor's house was on fire.
Uh-oh.
She ran over to get inside, alert the family, and help them and their dog escape to safety. You can name that dog Lifesaver, David. For the best We go to Gordon Drive, Naples, one of the highest priced pieces of real estate in the world. And yesterday, officers arrested a father and son for breaking into a home and living there while the owners were away in Michigan. David and Adam Benson, the father and son duo, had lived in Gordon Drive for 6 days. Somehow they were able to get into a home. There were no cameras at this home, so no word and no doors seemed to be pried open, no forced entry. But they both had conflicting stories and were eventually arrested. That takes a lot of kahunas. I mean, if you're going to go live in a vacation house,
right?
Wouldn't you pick the middle of the road one where no one might? You can start going on Gordon Lane.
Yeah, you're going to stand out.
Naples cops, they can shoot you there, I think. And if they can't, they probably can as of today. Finally, the ugly. Got this story from NBC2. There is an awful person. Go to NBC2-2.com to see the car if you would like. A horrible person driving yesterday in a van threw a cat out the window while driving down the road.
Come on. What are you doing?
They're looking for the car. White SUV, dark tinted windows. And they're rotten people. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah. Come on. What are you doing?
You can call Crime Stoppers if you happen to know any information about this. And that is the good, the bad, and the really ugly. The other was going to be that Felipe waited 2 days to give us NBA stats, but I didn't bother.
Sat out one show.
Wow.
There might be more coming.
I hope not.
Not many.
Really hope not. Yeah, that's disturbing.
It really is.
Yeah, come on. I mean, open the door, to your house. I mean, to pull over. I mean, go to drop it off somewhere. I know the shelters are all full, but yeah, come on. I mean, for goodness sakes, you can bring it to my house. My wife will take care of feed it for a couple of years.
Yay. I got a neighbor who's got like a bowl of water at the end of their driveway just sitting there. It's like, you know you're going to attract them with that, right?
Mark, between 3 and 4 every day, I just sit there for a couple minutes and I watch how many birds. Apparently between 3 and 4 is bird hour in my backyard. All different kinds of birds. And they come and they eat the cat food. Yep. The cats get their crack at it all morning.
Now, if the cat would take on the bird, we'd have a little
right. And for whatever
natural
reason,
selection going on there. I'm in.
I know. And there was a time when the cats did, but now, Mark, the cats have gotten so fat eating our food that they just lay around. They watch the birds. They like elbow each other and go, "Hey, look, the white ones came back today.
Look, the blue jay. He's cute.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Look at those pigeons. You think they're a couple?
In fact, I think the cat's also tapping the raccoon that eats there and go, "Hey, we had birds."
Right. No, the raccoon's hanging with them. Yeah. They all watch the birds between 3 and 4.
Then, David Moulton's Wild Kingdom.
Right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Lots and lots of baseball today, David.
I would hope so.
Marlins are in Pittsburgh.
You think Mattingly's going to get fired?
Yeah.
I keep thinking he's going to get fired.
I actually, I didn't see yesterday's game, watching the highlights. There was just a couple of bench shots of Mattingly, and I almost thought ESPN was showing those at the end of the segment to say, yeah, this guy's gone by the end of the day.
I'd been saying for a couple of weeks, I was worried. I thought he was going to get fired at the All-Star break. They've been shut out for 34 consecutive innings.
And scored 1 run. I mean, they've had 1 run now in 5 games.
They've lost 6 of 8. And their season was salvageable. They were within 3-4 games of the final playoff spot a week and a half ago. And now, I mean, they're 6 back of the Phillies. And the Phillies and the Cardinals are holding down the last playoff spot.
The boot is winding up.
Well, yeah, because he's in the final year of a contract. So if you're an organization, you're basically like, well, listen, are we going to extend this guy? Because if so, we might as well do it now.
You got a road trip with the Pirates and then the Reds for the Marlins. You've got to win 2 series or I think he loses his job.
Yeah, this is
Rays are in Kansas City, by the way.
Well, but this is also, like a lot of, when do managers like to call team meetings? When their ace is pitching 3 hours later. When do teams like to fire managers? When the soft spot of the schedule's coming up, figuring the team will get a jolt, and then, oh, by the way, they're playing a lesser opponent. I mean, it really wouldn't shock me if in 5 hours that we find out Mattingly's fired. It really wouldn't shock me.
I'm with you. Just the shots, you make a lot out of a highlight, David. Watching the highlights of the Marlins game this morning and seeing the bench shots of Mattingly looking dejected there, you just wonder how much longer this is going to go on.
And I do not blame him at all. I mean, they do not have enough offense. That's on the front office. So you can blame Jeter a little bit. You can blame Kim Ang, who's been the GM for a couple years now. I mean, come on. You have an excess of pitching. No one has pitching. Teams have hitting. Go get a bat. Go spend some money.
Jays and Red Sox with the series going on. Yankees start with the Orioles. Let's see if Baltimore can keep going.
They're at 500. They're at 500. First off, you mentioned that Jays Red Sox series. Can the Red Sox win a series
in their division?
They're 0-10-1.
Unbelievable.
It really is.
Padres are at the Mets. That's another really good series this weekend.
Could be a first-round playoff preview. If the Braves win the East, the 4-5 seeds are likely the Mets and Padres.
Play at home, everyone. Rangers are at the A's tonight. Guess the attendance. A Friday night in Oakland. 6:07 start.
10 o'clock, 10,000 over under. All three games, by the way. I'll go over on Sunday. Under Friday, Saturday.
I'll go under, over.
I'll go over all three.
By the way, Houston and Seattle, did you mention that?
No, I did not.
Astros, Mariners. Mariners won 14 in a row. They're playing a team that's playing as well as anybody not named the Mariners.
And they get to face Verlander with that long winning streak tonight.
Good luck.
By the way, did you see Kate get all dressed up and around the All-Star game? Bring their young one. And she said, I just, wanted to show up, wanted to be seen.
She's good at that.
Yeah.
Loved when everyone said that she was going to slow him down. Yeah. That's not the case.
No, not so much. Not so much. So, Miller Moulton. Not much going on this weekend, though. The golf tournament's not significant.
Yeah, the 3M, that doesn't really.
And is Finau the highest ranked player in the field?
They usually get a decent field next week in Detroit.
Right.
For the Rocket Mortgage. It's a couple weeks after the Open, so those usually do a little bit better. But
a lot of training camps. The veterans are showing up today and over the weekend. And, we'll see if between Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, and Juan Soto, we'll see if anybody gets traded between now and our next show.
Can you add Garoppolo to that list too?
Well, I guess you can. A bit of a misnomer. John Lynch is on record in late March as saying that Garoppolo has permission to go seek a trade. I mean, somebody brought that quote out yesterday. And it's like, why is this news? Garoppolo has permission to seek a trade. John Lynch said on March 28th he has permission to seek a trade. Miller and Moulton.
Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll be back Monday morning to do this all over again.
Save me some wings.
I will.
Golfers, are you bored of the same old driving range warm-up routine that's not getting you the results that you want on the course? Power up your golf swing by adding resistance bands to your range sessions with the Orange Whip Golf's